Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to GameFace episode 475 right here on SIFTD at SIFTD.net. Just 25 episodes away from a huge milestone, episode 500 here on SIFTD, which is just crazy. We have an awesome episode for you guys, and of course, alongside me to do that, as always, is the one and only Matt Keil. Hey, Matt, how are you?
All right.
How's your week been? Filled with more Crimson Desert?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Fair amount of that.
Yeah?
Fair amount of that.
You're hooked?
I like the open world and the exploration stuff. The thing that I find funny is a lot of I've seen like on the Facebook groups and some of the Reddit and stuff. People will post like the map and like look at all the stuff there is to do. It's like every icon on them. It's the whole map and it's just icon. It's just like wall to wall icons everywhere. And I'm like, isn't that the same thing you used to post for Ubisoft games to show that they're trash? Like, why is this game getting praised for doing the same like fake content spam shit that Ubisoft, because I'm enjoying this in the same way I'm enjoying Ubisoft games, right. And that you're doing the same 4 things over and over again everywhere and just doing it in different environments. But like, it's bizarre to me that like, if you are praising Crimson Desert as Game of the Year material and you have spent the last 5 years hating on Ubisoft open world games, you're full of shit. Like, they're the same fucking thing, except Crimson Desert doesn't fucking work half the time.
Yeah.
Like, I've had to look up like quest solutions and things because I'm like, I don't know if this is a new mechanic I've missed, or it's broken,
right?
Or if the translation doesn't make any sense. There's one section of eavesdropping quests, which again, I thought we hated that.
Yeah.
I thought we hated that in Assassin's Creed, eavesdropping on people. I thought that was like the reason Black Flag isn't one of the best games ever, is that you have to eavesdrop.
A lot
on
of the
people.
eavesdrop missions.
But like, you have to do it, and like, it doesn't really explain how to do it or where to do it. And then you have to like go through this whole dialogue tree, like almost like a LA Noire interrogation, and you have to like you hit a dead end, but there's no way to really know it's a dead end unless you pick every option. But there's like 14 options at one point, and you have to sit through the conversation every single time. There's no way to skip it or go through it, fast forward it like with the cutscenes. And then you got to go eavesdrop on someone else. At one point, they tell you a name of the guy you're trying to see, except it's the guy you've been looking for the whole time. And you knew you had to sneak in to see him. So, like, he's one of your bosses from before the massacre at the beginning of the game. So you're like, wait, we're here because we thought he was leading these guys. Why didn't you just say you eavesdrop someone to say that is actually him? You couldn't just bluff your way through, especially since one of my options in the dialogue choices was lie. Like, what?
See, this is, Matt, why I said, like, I'll wait, like, a year. Because with games like this, you get on this train where you're like, is it broken? Am I not getting something?
That's the other thing, is I literally did get on a train in the game. There is a train in the game. Like, I was riding through the desert, and there's a fucking train. And I'm like, what?
The game is just gigantic.
It's a big steampunk clockwork-looking train, and you just sit on it, and it like does this like kind of weird like route back and forth through the desert, and you can find a bunch of stuff that way, and like a bunch of like animals and bugs collect on the train because they keep getting stuck on the. I'm like, oh, it's like bugs hitting the windshield. It's kind of cool, but like, it's so weird. Like, it's like if it was in Red Dead Redemption, it is in this game.
Yeah,
and,
like,
I mean,
that was definitely a big inspiration.
And I'm sitting there like, there is absolutely going to be a train robbery heist at some point in this game, right? Because that was in Red Dead, so it's got to be in Red Dead.
Yeah. In Crimson Desert, you mean?
Got to be in Crimson Desert. Maybe that's why it's Crimson.
It may be. I mean, it may be a nod to that. Who knows?
That's the thing is, like, people talk about, like, oh, I can't wait for games that are influenced by that. Like, influenced by what?
Yeah.
Because this game is just, like, influences the motion picture.
It really is.
It's like every interesting, cool thing that other games have done. Here it is all in one game, but not quite as good.
Yeah, I think I called it a hodgepodge of nothingness.
It is. And I will say they are very reactive to things they've added.
They are. I mean, it's crazy how quick they're updating it. Like, every day it feels like there's a patch.
Oh, very, very often. Hot fixes all the time to fix, like, graphical things. I'm very happy with what they do to the storage.
Yeah.
They add now every time you upgrade your camp, your personal storage locker there gains more, up to the point where when you've maxed out the camp, you have 1,000 storage slots.
Wow.
Which is like, that basically solves
the
inventory problem.
Problem solved.
The other thing that would solve the inventory problem is not limiting me to like 50
at all
in stack. Like, learn something from another game called No Man's Sky, which lets me carry 9,999 of something.
Yeah. It figured all that stuff out.
Yeah.
It really did.
Because at one point I'm like, why am I out of inventory space? And I look and I have, no kidding, 14 slots taken up by cloth. because it only stacks 50, and you're picking cloth up from bandits constantly. So I'm like, oh my god, and it was way up in the inventory where I didn't see it.
Right.
So I'm like, oh my god, I gotta unload some cloth. Like, so that is. But again, every once in a while, you come around a corner and like you come around a corner in like the desert area, and you're like, there's like gazelles and hippo and like fucking rhinos and elephants, and I'm like, well, this is a biome I didn't expect in this, you know.
The San Diego Zoo biome.
Yeah, I'm riding an iguana around, and I'm just like, what is going on in this game? Like I appreciate the gonzo to it.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good way to describe it. Yeah, gonzo.
But every once in a while, I'm just like, this is so jank as hell. It's just none of it
it's
quite
a very
comes
strange
together
game.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe one day it will, because like every patch makes it a little better.
Yeah.
And like now they have, basically they added a totally different way to control him, and it does work better.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can
like I said, in a year, I'll go back to it.
Yeah, I think 6 months to a year, it's going to be worth checking back in on this.
Story
game.
will probably still suck.
I don't think the story is ever going to get any better. I think that is what it is. They added a way to hide the helmet. So like you don't have to listen to him talk like, because he's got I have him in armor all the time, so every cutscene is like whoa, 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 whoa. And of course they spend so much time reuniting the Greymanes, and I'm in like a full plate armor set with a full covered helmet, and people just like look at me once and go like, Cliff, you're alive. I'm just like, how the fuck do you know it's me? No, you don't know that. There's no way to know. And then now you can take his helmet off, and it's clear that. Although it is funny because I put the best like stuff on him to like to buff him up. So he's got these 2 huge dangly silver earrings because they buff like attack speed. Right. And and he's just like, he looks like he just came out of Spencer's or something, like wiggling around. It looks like he's about to go hang at the mall with his hoop earrings here. I'm just like, well, whatever it takes to get through the fights, right? We're not here to judge.
Yep. Well, I have not been playing Crimson Desert. However, I have got addicted to another game this week. I have become addicted to Absolem. Now, we reviewed that.
That also got a big update.
Yeah, we reviewed that late last year, and I had only played like an hour to get B-roll. You had played like the whole thing, so mostly it was like your review or whatever. And I played it a little bit after the show, but for whatever reason it never clicked. And then I noticed that it appeared on Game Pass this week, and I was like, oh, what the hell? I'll download it and give it a play. Oh, man. I ended up playing that game for like 4 or 5 days straight. So if you're a Game Pass subscriber and you've hung on, we put up Game Pass or Fail this week in the Shane Satterfield show. We have transformed that segment, by the way. It used to be we'd look at one game and say whether that game is a worthy addition to Game Pass. We've changed Game Pass or Fail to where we look at it every month and we tell you whether you should actually keep your Game Pass subscription or whether you should drop it or not. So in that show, we talked about everything that gets me hyped for Game Pass. I went and checked it out, downloaded Absolem, started playing it. So
it is very good.
It is very good. It really is. And well, maybe I'll be talking about that in this week's Shane Satterfield show, but we'll see. But anyway, I'm also addicted to that. But otherwise, Matt, it has been a very, very slow week in the games industry as far as game releases are concerned. There's no big marquee review in today's show. We're going to review Legacy of Kain, Ascendance. We're going to review Super Meat Boy 3D today. But this is another episode of GameFace where it is just like machine gun fire. We have 14 topics in today's episode. So no real big games to talk about, but plenty of big topics. We're going to review the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which I'm assuming you went to see?
No.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, I just assumed you did.
No.
You know what the old saying? Assuming makes an ass out of you and me, and it just made an ass out of me. We can still talk. I have that movie kind of couched in a different way to discuss it.
Did you see it?
No.
Okay, so that's the problem.
Yeah, I just figured you would because you go to see everything.
No, not. There's a point at which.
Wow.
I'm not going to go to. I might get to it, but I'm not going to opening weekend if it's getting savage that hard.
Well, what I want to discuss around it is actually completely separate of how good the movie is.
Too much Yoshi.
Yeah. Is that what the word is on the street?
Any
Yoshi's too much Yoshi?
I mean, once you put Yoshi in, you're starting to lose me already.
Yeah. Yep. So we're going to discuss that. We just kind of did a little bit. We're going to talk about the PlayStation 6 Handheld. There's a bunch of information leaking out about that. We're going to talk about Marathon. It's not selling very well. What's Sony going to do with that? And we have a couple reviews. We have a great episode for you guys, just not gigantic games. Next week, let's see, there's Pokemon Champions, I think. There's that game Samson. Have you?
Isn't Pokemon Champions like tonight or something?
I think so. Yeah, I didn't get an early code from Nintendo for it, so it didn't make it into today's show, but it'll be in next week's show. So next week I think we're going to have some good stuff. That Samson game kind of caught my eye. It used to be like a GTA clone, but they've kind of pared it down to like a linear action game. But it seems pretty interesting. Although I'm a little afraid that it might be like Mind's Eye 2.
Yeah, it does have a certain scent to it.
It does, and it's also looks like a GTA game, but it's really not. So anyway,
that dude's doing weird shit again.
Yeah, yeah, he is. Oh my gosh, the people in Mind's Eye have lost their freaking mind's eye.
Yeah.
Literally, they've gone insane. They think people are trying to sabotage their, like, they're paranoid.
Yeah,
It's very bizarre.
Like, what? Did you not play it? Like, what?
I don't get it. But anyway, we don't have a bunch of big games for today, but we have a bunch of great topics for you guys, so I think you guys are going to ultimately enjoy the show when it's all said and done. Before we get going into episode 475, a reminder that we're supported pretty much 100% at patreon.com/sifted. That's SIFTD. For just $5 a month, you get all our content early. You get the show 3-4 days early, Packer Factor a week early, etc., etc. It's definitely worth it to pledge for the exclusivity period that you get. If you don't have any money, but you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, help us out with Twitch Prime. If you're watching on YouTube, please go down below. Figure out how to do that. There's step-by-step instructions in the show description. And if you don't have money and you're not an Amazon Prime subscriber, and I don't blame you because a lot of people are dropping Amazon Prime this year, it feels like, you can still help us just by liking the show, commenting on the show, sharing the show. Again, Spotify crew, saw you again this week. You guys are up there doing it. I appreciate you guys. So all that stuff makes a difference and can help us, and we'd appreciate it if you could do any of that. We'd really appreciate it. Because really, you're just here to watch a podcast about video games, and we get it. But if you want to keep it happening, then you might want to think about the other stuff. All right, let's check in with our crew before we get on with the show and chat. What's up, YouTube? What's up, Twitch? Hope you guys are all doing great. Let's scroll up here on Twitch. See what's been going on since we launched the stream. Wow, lots of Twitch Prime in here. That's awesome. Wow, lots of chat going on before the show even really kicks off. This is great. Don Lionheart, there's our first one. Thank you for Twitch Prime. Did you listen to Big Pig? I did not. Were we supposed to listen to that?
I think it's not just a band.
I haven't even heard of them, actually. I thought maybe somebody mentioned them last week or something. I don't know. I'm not familiar with them, matter of fact. Glottis21, thank you for Twitch Prime. Hello to you as well. Look at Fight JK with the Super Meat Boy. He knew before the show launched that we were going to cover Super Meat Boy 3D today somehow. Who else we got? Squishy Muffin, thank you for Twitch Prime. That's awesome. Who else we got here? As always, people, don't forget, always go at Sifted Games if you want us to actually respond to you guys. It'll make it easy for us to pick it out of the chat while we're scrolling through.
New Molyneux game.
Masters of Albion, that might be next week.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That's one of those games, though, man. Like, you're not going to be able to play it for a handful of hours and really figure out if it's any good or not. That may end up being in, like, not next week's show, but, like, the week after. We'll see how it works out.
It's got to be better than Goddess, right?
You would think. What else we got in here? MHG and Morton Joe, thank you for Twitch Prime. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Silk Snake says, I had friends slate me for loving AC Shadows, and those same people are obsessed with this Crimson Desert game.
Yeah,
Yep.
People are easy to program.
Yep. Norix Nessie 94, thank you. Talimper, thank you for Twitch Prime, both of you. Squishy Muffin says, chat, Worms WMD is on offer for 99, I'm guessing, cents on Steam.
Pence.
Yeah. I'm assuming that's basically pennies.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, probably if you have people to play with. That's the only reason.
A lot of things that aren't worth 99 cents. Even today.
But if you don't have people to play with, that game's probably not worth $1.
True.
I hate to say it. The new Cyberpunk, wait a year or two and it'll work. It is a little bit.
Yeah, there is an element of that.
Yeah. Rogerty, thank you for your bits, man. I think you did this last week too. I really appreciate that.
Although Pearl Abyss is very responsive, whereas CD Projekt just basically disappears for a year and then puts up a giant update. Like,
that's a good point. God of Gamblers making fun of my assume comments. Silk Shank says Matt feels about Yoshi is how I feel about Mario. Wow.
I mean, I'm not a huge Mario fan either. I've always thought the Mario world is just sort of a little off-putting.
Yeah.
But Yoshi in particular, like, repels me.
Mm-hmm. Congram 1 says I dug into the backlog and started Unicorn Overlord.
Yeah, that game's good.
It's really good. I mean, we gave it 2 thumbs up when we reviewed it, but it's pretty old at this point.
A couple of years, yeah.
JJ Forcebreaker says the soundtrack for Samson is composed by Jesper Kidd. I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal. Vincent says their DLC is going to reveal the conspiracy. That's what they said.
Oh, yeah.
The developers at Mind's Eye think that their DLC is going to show that someone is sabotaging their game.
It was very cunning to hide the answer in something no one will ever see.
That's the funny part. No one will ever play it, so no one will ever know. Sorry, Build a Rocket Boy.
Also, who named your company that? Because you should probably be after them first.
Yeah. Emperor Dread says that Samsung game, the one made by the Just Cause developers, it is.
Yeah. The Avalanche people.
And initially, they wanted it to be an open world game, and they ran out of time and had to pare it down, and so now it's like a linear action game that's very melee heavy. But again, we'll be talking about that in next week's show. I think it comes out tomorrow, maybe today, actually.
I don't know.
It's coming out soon. Eth Demon, I can see either of you playing Pokemon Champions as a free-to-play competitive Pokemon Battle Arena. It's not what you'd want out of a Pokemon Stadium. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give it a go still. But here's the thing, Matt. Like, I don't know how to get any of my... I would like to know, actually, how many Pokemon I have. If I had collected them all from red and blue all the way through, I have never sent my Pokemon on in any Pokemon game I've ever played.
I did. I mean, there's a break where you couldn't. I think Platinum was the cutoff, where like you couldn't get anything before that into the modern ecosystem, basically because of the way the transfers worked.
Yeah.
But I did transfer everything into that Pokemon Home thing, and then I forgot to renew the license. Right. I think I've lost. They must have all been deleted by now.
You think so?
They say like it's like they'll delete them if your subscription runs. I mean, maybe they don't. I should probably resubscribe and just see what happens. Yeah. But I had legendaries and I had Mews from way back in the day, and
I mean, I'm hoping at the very least that it will suck.
I had hundreds and hundreds in there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I have thousands of Pokemon, at least maybe 1,000 actually. But I don't know. It feels like maybe they'll suck the Pokemon in from any of the saves I have on my Switch too.
Generally, that is not how that works.
So I have to go into Home, transfer them all to Home.
Yeah, I think you need to use the Home as like the hub.
And then go from Home into Champions.
That is just how they've solved that problem, I think.
Solved.
Such as it is.
I'm going to try. We're going to play it, and we'll talk about it next week's show, Eth Demon, I promise you. Rogerty confirms it's the founder of Avalanche that's handling Samson. Emperor Dread, thank you for Twitch Prime. That's awesome. Vincent says, if I remember correctly, I did a Game Pass or Fail on Worms WMD. You did, actually. That was one of the games that we covered for that show. What else we got in here before we head on? Solo Dolo 241. What's up? How are you? Oh, our screen just went out. Oh, and it came back.
It was just the monitor. It didn't go out on the the feed.
Did you end up pulling the trigger on a PS5 Pro? I did not. I did not get a PS5 Pro. And the crazy part was, I didn't pull the trigger. It kind of slipped my mind that night because I was really busy. Because I got home and was like going on the show, blah, blah, blah. And it just slipped my mind. I woke up the next day and Amazon had actually extended it by like a day or two. And I was like, I'm like, here's my second chance. And that time I literally just said no and didn't get it. And now I already regret it. So I wish I had. I did not. Solo Dolo. I didn't do it. And now I regret it because I can see already in 2 years' time I'm probably going to end up buying a Pro for like $900. It's just going to happen. So it is what it is. I just wish I had a lot of extra money lying around to just blow on stuff. I would have got one. But I have to think really seriously about my money, and I could not rationalize buying it, unfortunately. Tiny2K, thank you for subscribing at Tier 1 for 62 frickin' months. That's awesome. Vincent says, you can't send from Gen 1 and 2 to the modern games, but everything from Gen 3 onward can be transferred to the modern day. You need to move Home into Champions. That's what I figured. Silk says, I've only transferred a Pokemon when there was a really bad hit. Hard bit in a game. So you can get through it with a higher powered Pokemon. It makes sense. Fight JK, Watch Streak, 3-Steam Streak. Welcome back. Cirrus List 1940, first time chat.
I think that's Sir Isles.
Sir Isles 1940. I bought Mind's Eye for $6, so you are telling me I wasted money. Well, we told you that you wasted money like 6 months ago when it came out. But yes, I mean, for $6, it's not like you have a big commitment there.
It's like a somewhat bad coffee at that price, really.
Yeah, I mean, you may get your $6 out of it. I mean, I played it for 8 hours or something like that. I wouldn't say I was really entertained, but it did last like 6 or 8 hours.
Like, if you know the drama behind it, it's kind of entertaining
right.
to see that it's all about
the meta almost. Yeah, I hear you.
Like, for this?
Yeah.
You're doing it for this?
Squishy Muffin says, don't get PS5 Pro. The PS6 is out in less than 2 years. I don't know about that, Squishy Muffin. We'll see about that. Vincent says, yeah, you can transfer from the Switch 2 games for free, but home has limited space unless you pay. Okay, got it. All right. Let's head over to YouTube. We got a super chat. Stevens Charles. It's Stevens Charles, the head of LS Cream in YouTube with the super chat. Thank you. Steven says Super Mario Brothers Galaxy was really good. Brought my kids and we had a blast. I think if you take your kids to any movie, you're probably going to have a good time.
Well,
they're not discerning viewers typically.
I can tell you from experience that there were times my parents brought me to a movie and did not have a good time. So that's not true.
My parents I think I've told this story on GameFace before. My parents took me to see David Bowie, The Man Who Fell to Earth, at a drive-thru. And the first scene is a sex scene in an elevator. I think my parents immediately regretted taking me and my sister to that film. But thank you for the super chat, Stevens Charles. I know some people did enjoy it, and most of the people that I've seen that enjoyed it do have kids and took their kids to it, and they just had a good time.
I would imagine that as long as you're sort of aware of what you're walking into, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure reviewers, if your job is to sit and watch movies like every week and watch everything that comes out, you're probably going to be pretty tired of like basically this thing that is just there to sell games and toys and is just there to entertain children, and there's not much else to it.
Yeah.
And we know that animation doesn't have to be that.
Yeah.
But that's illumination.
Yeah.
Like that's
what it does.
That's what it does. This is work for hire, and it's basically a board-approved corporate product, and that's what it's going to be. I'm sure, but it's what it needs to be.
They're lucky they have Miyamoto working on it, because if they didn't, God knows what would happen.
Yeah, I mean,
then you wouldn't even have the Easter eggs.
I mean, I don't know how much use Miyamoto is when it comes to like human drama and emotional
I'm not
input.
saying that. I'm just saying making sure it stays true to Nintendo and all that. Yeah.
I'm
Adam
sure
Hopkins, 5496. Thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, "Hey Sifted, thank you for all the content. Thank you for watching all the content. I've been a member since the inception, even going so far from G4 and game trailers. Cheers from Maryland." Thank you, Adam Hopkins. That's awesome, man. Fans that have been following me that long, I really, really appreciate you guys and girls. And cheers to Maryland as well. I'm from Pennsylvania. I know Maryland very, very well, particularly from my raving days back in the mid-'90s, because they were just throwing raves all over Maryland illegally. But we learned like where all the state parks were, where all the empty warehouses were. I learned Maryland very, very well during my raving days, because we would just bust into like warehouses and stuff and just throw parties with like 1,000 people illegally. It was a great time to be alive, let me tell you. But anyway, thank you very much for the super chat, and thank you for your support all the way across all these years. It's amazing. I really appreciate it. Okay, I think that's it for all our chats. We're just about ready to get it on for GameFace 475. But before we do that, here's a word from our sponsor, Stevens Charles. It's LS Cream, the fine cream liqueur crafted by fellow gamer and sifter Stevens Charles. Inspired by the Haitian drink crème masse, LS Cream delivers an award-winning experience with every single pour. One sip and you'll see why. It's a party favorite. The silky blend of fresh cream and premium neutral grain spirits mixes great with everything. I dare you to put a shot in your coffee. I've been drinking it for years, and still, I find new combinations that taste incredible. LS Cream is the kind of drink that keeps surprising you thanks to its notes of vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, and coconut. Take it to any gathering and watch it steal the spotlight. We've never seen anyone resist. Ready to join the fan club? Head to creamls.com/sifted for recipes, retailers, and online orders. That's creamls.com/sifted. That's right, people. Go to creamls.com/sifted and join the cream team and cream ass dadass with some LS Cream. It's always I'm always nervous when I know Stevens is watching. Promoting his product live while he's
always watching.
He's always watching. He's the eye in the sky. But anyway, head on over there. Here's the thing. Spring and summer is coming. I know in Pittsburgh yesterday it was like 30 degrees. I was watching a baseball game and it was like snow flurries or some crazy crap. I know it's still cold in some places on the East Coast off and on, but spring and summer are on the way. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but a lot of the drinks in the ad that we run for LS Cream feature ice cream. And that's, like I said, LS Cream mixes with everything. But I'm telling you, if you mix up a drink, like make a milkshake with LS Cream, it is absolutely delicious. In fact, I think I just gave you yet another idea for the LS Cream 5K challenge. Make an awesome milkshake with a garnish on it. Take a cool picture of it. put it on Instagram, tag LS Cream, and maybe you could win $5,000 USD. I think I've given you guys 3 drinks now. Have any of you guys taken me up on that and done it? Go do it. Go to creamls.com/sifted. Sign up for the 5K challenge there. Make sure you got all your paperwork squared away. Get yourself a bottle of LS Cream and make it happen. All right. It's time to kick off GameFace 475. We kind of hinted at this before we got to it, but we're going to discuss the Super Mario Galaxy movie. And again, Matt, I am surprised that you did not go see it. I thought, if anything, you might just do it as a masochistic move.
No, I mean, that's what the Transformers movies are for.
Your guilty pleasure, you mean?
I wouldn't say pleasure.
The movie.
I like Transformers 1.
Yeah.
And Bumblebee.
Yeah, Bumblebee was great. I really like that a lot.
That's it.
Yeah. Well,
the 2 that bombed. Those are the ones I liked.
Here's the thing, Matt. This movie has not bombed. It has done very, very well. The press release they put out yesterday was, and they move the shells around to try to make sure they can say something good about pretty much every movie. But this one, the shell game, resulted in them saying that it's the first animated franchise to ever debut with 2 $350 million plus weekends. Which, again, is really like splitting hairs there, trying to find something to say. But for whatever reason, people went to see the first one, thought it was good enough to ignore the bad reviews for this one. Because its Metacritic right now is at like a 3.7, Matt. I did not check the audience score. Have you seen that by any chance?
Last I saw, the audience score was in the 70s or 80s.
It was.
Yeah.
I wonder why that's so high.
Mario fans.
People just take in their kids, and their kids have a good time, like kind of like Steven said.
I mean, it's basically reverse review bombing. Metacritic's audience score is useless.
Yeah. I mean, all your audience scores are pretty much useless no matter where you go. It's not just Metacritic. But the movie financially has done very well. Do you think that momentum will continue into the second weekend?
I mean, probably. There's not really anything of consequence coming that would compete with it, I don't think. It's going to continue making pretty solid money until it no longer has the IMAX screenings, basically, which is be 2 weeks.
Yeah. So after this weekend, it'll probably fall off?
I'd say you probably have a fallout. Well, I mean, we'll see what the fall off is in the second weekend. A good drop is like 60%. If it gets less than that, then it's doing very well. It will, despite this strong opening, it will probably not beat like Inside Out 2 or Zootopia 2, the biggest animated films of all time. But it has a run at getting pretty close to $1 billion worldwide if it keeps it up.
First one went over $1 billion. Are you surprised at how well it did, despite the reviews?
No.
Because that's what I really want to talk about.
It's Mario.
Man. Yeah, that's what I really want to talk about.
The IP is bulletproof. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, the reviews don't matter when it comes to things like that. People want to see something, they're going to go see it.
Yeah. What about
Transformers 3 made $1 billion.
I know, it's insane.
Like, and the reviews for that are probably lower than this. Like,
yeah,
like reviews have never really mattered when it comes to like the popcorn popular entertainment, especially when it comes to children's stuff. Like,
yeah,
it's not like the fucking Minions movies clean up in the reviews either. But they make tons and tons of money because kids love the Minions. Kids love Mario. Like, parents love Mario. Like this is probably easier to get parents to take you to because at least parents probably have some fond memories of Mario at this point, rather than like the current stuff. Than getting them to take you to like the other like Minion stuff. Or,
right.
I mean, I guess Shrek doesn't count because people grew up with Shrek at this point too. Shrek's been around for 30 years. But I think it's the same with like a Pokemon movie. It's like it doesn't matter what the critics say about that. Like reviews have never mattered when it came to sort of the taste of the mainstream moviegoer if it was something that was already an established preference. I mean, that's why there were 10 Friday the 13th movies. Not that those were box office #1 hits or anything, but like no amount of bad reviews will stop someone from wanting to see what they want to see or wanting to play what they want to play. Like that's just a reality of things.
So my question for part of this discussion,
I think reviews matter more for something that's perceived as mediocre.
Okay.
Like that, it's like, oh, maybe, I don't know, maybe, and like you're just sort of looking for like, basically like you're either looking for something that will encourage you to go see the thing you're slightly curious about, or you're looking for something to justify your desire to stay home and not spend the money or whatever. And I think stuff that's like kind of in the middle of the road is where reviews become more important and more likely to sway back and forth. If something is panned, but you still are into the idea or into the IP or want to see it or was something you care about, that's not going to stop you.
Yeah.
Like, nothing stopped me from seeing the Transformers movies, even though I knew they were going to be terrible. I mean, they're Michael Bay action movies from that era. Of course they were going to be terrible. The reviews all said they were terrible, but I'm like, well, it's my thing. I got to see it. And, like, if I had kids who were into Transformers, you'd be doubly screwed on that. So I think that's just how it goes.
Do you think that with a property as big as Mario that it doesn't affect it at all? Because,
No.
like, I think if a Mario video game were bad, I think it would affect sales some.
Yeah, I just don't think the standard is as high for a movie about him because it's not a...
Because it has done as well as the first Mario film.
Because it's not a... it's not his primary medium, basically. Also, like, I would certainly argue that the terrible live-action movie didn't harm the Mario brand,
right?
So who cares?
Well, I mean, there wasn't another one for like 30 or 40 years.
Right, but it didn't harm Mario as a brand.
Right, it's the video games that didn't.
Yeah. Or as a merchandise or anything like that.
Times are different then. Nintendo didn't merchandise like it does now, though. So you feel like reviews matter for not big IP, basically, for films?
Yeah, I think it's more important for either something that doesn't already have a built-in audience or is just sort of okay, where you're just sort of not sure. But I think anyone who was willing to go see a Mario movie on opening weekend already knew. And
well, Scream 7 also was that way. It got horrible reviews. Everyone said it was terrible, and it did gangbusters.
Yeah, reviews don't matter.
It feels like reviews don't matter with films as much as they do with games.
I think they also don't matter very much with games.
Really?
Yeah. I have never had anyone I know who isn't like a hardcore follow the game, one of us, basically, ever mention a video game review to me.
Really?
Ever. Never in my entire life.
I've had people mention reviews. They'll say, "Oh, its reviews are bad. Its reviews aren't good."
Any of my casual friends, especially up in San Francisco, I have never had them mention a game review to me ever.
Oh, I do. I have that happen all the time with me and my friends.
They just ask each other and me. That's it. It's all word of mouth.
Well, they'll ask me when they think the reviews are conflicting. They'll say, "Hey, I don't get the reviews for this. What do you think?"
Yeah, I don't even get. It's just like, "Hey, is this any good?" It's.
Are the reviews accurate for this sometimes?
Yeah, I've never.
Really? Wow,
ever. I'm
surprised. But I do. I get it all the time.
Yeah, I don't think game reviews matter at all to anything.
I disagree with that.
I don't think
because look at Cyberpunk 2077. It sold nowhere near as good as they thought it was going to because of the reviews. Now, eventually, over time, it did as they fixed it.
I don't think it sold bad because of the reviews. I think it sold bad because of the word of mouth and the fact that it was not something people recognized. And because I think that is a terrible title for something. Because it's so generic. Like, it doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't tell you it's from the Witcher people. It doesn't tell you what's happening in it. Like, it's just sort of, it's just called Cyberpunk. Like, what is
so you're saying that every time somebody says, "I'm going to wait for reviews," they're full of shit?
I mean,
because people say that all the time.
I just think the number of people who say that are in the tens of thousands, not the millions.
Our whole audience.
Pretty much, yeah.
And everybody that follows content like ours, they all say it.
But that's why our audience is in the tens of, and not just ours, but everybody's is in the tens of thousands and not millions, because the people who make games super mega hits don't care about that. That's always been true.
Why do you think people consume reviews then?
Well, I think enthusiasts care about reviews because basically that's what they're interested in, and they want to hear. A lot of times, I think it's because they just want to hear something that either confirms or contradicts their own opinion.
Yeah,
and they want to argue about it. That's certainly why I read movie reviews half the time. I want to see what Mick LaSalle thinks about the new Resident Evil movie because he's always wrong, which does make him a good critic because I always know where I stand in relation to his opinion.
As long as being consistent is probably the most important thing you can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I also think it's a different world than it was back in the day, even 15 years ago, where reading the reviews in the paper, or the reviews in the magazine, the reviews even on IGN or GameSpot, was one of the only places to get actual information about these games that was easily accessible. Now you can talk to just about anybody in the world who's touched this thing on launch day or watched it on release day.
Stuff's way more accessible
now. And you get wide opinions about anything.
Well, you also get 2 hours of gameplay before you decide to buy it.
Yeah.
Like back then, We did video of your reviews at GameSpot that were a joke.
Oh, you were buying stuff on the back of screenshots. Like, the
Yeah.
idea, reading those old magazines is fascinating because it's like,
Yeah.
oh wow. And even that though, like back in the day, I didn't know a lot of. I was one of the only people that was really interested in the reviews in those magazines. Like, because I was, I knew Andy Eddy's name, and I knew, I knew
People
all
argue
those
about
guys.
him for decades. People have been arguing about video game
Online,
reviews.
but
Yeah.
everyone I knew in real life only bought those magazines for the screenshots and the news. They just wanted to see what was coming up. They didn't
Yeah.
care what anybody in the magazine had to say about any of that stuff. Whereas I was like, every time I would write a game review, I was trying to channel Andy Eddy from Video Games Computer Entertainment magazine back in the day.
Yeah.
But like every time I'd kind of talk about stuff like that, everybody would just sort of glaze over and be like, yeah, but did you see the screenshots of Doom 2 or whatever? It's like, no one, I mean, that's why they the covers of a lot of those magazines were generally like, here's screenshots of Unreal and not like, here's what Dan Shu thinks about Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
It was before the internet, yeah. So it was really hard to get access to that stuff unless it was from a magazine.
Yeah, and the idea of moving,
video.
years and years of just like, here's pictures of E3 and that's what you get. There were no trailers. There was no, that was our advantage as TV, was we could run video
And game trailers. That was our big advantage. We did everything video, no written anything.
Yeah, but right. I mean, before that, like that was the back at Tech TV, that was the guaranteed in, like for Square and those companies. Like, we'll run your thing on TV.
And we were the only ones that could do it then.
And
and we got
when
awesome exclusives.
When 480i was full resolution.
It's hilarious. So here's the other thing. Yesterday, an editor at Polygon wrote an editorial about the Super Mario Galaxy film.
Oh, Silk Snake makes a good point. Only got magazines that had demo discs. That was also a big deal. That is true.
Official
true.
PlayStation magazine.
OPM and all those. Yeah, those were a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about those magazines except the demo discs.
Well, I worked on them, so I remember a lot about them. That was my first job at GameSpot, was putting those magazines up as websites on GameSpot.com. And it's supposed to be like a full-time job, and I would get it done in a day. And they're like, I guess we're going to have to let you write stuff. And I'm like, I guess you are. And that's how I started my journalism career in games. But anyway, Polygon wrote an editorial yesterday about the film, and its contention was... Actually, it didn't really come to a conclusion. What it was discussing was the idea that if we're reviewing these movies and we're saying they're bad and people are going to see them and saying it's good, are we wrong? Are we reviewing movies or games incorrectly? Do we need to find a new way where our reviews are representative of what people actually feel and where they put their money?
No, because that's a ridiculous thing to think. Because reviews are subjective.
I agree with you on that.
Like, a review is not meant to be correct. A review is not objective truth. A review is nothing but a subjective opinion from one person who is apparently and hopefully able to express that opinion adequately and intelligently enough that someone who might disagree with them can still tell what they might think of the thing being reviewed just by reading that opinion. Like, there is no such thing as correct in this. There is, like, of course IGN's review is correct as long as or Polygon's review is correct, or whoever's review is correct, as long as they were honest about it. And aren't like trying to, like, I don't know, like say they liked it when they didn't or whatever.
And it's accurate.
As long as it's accurate to their own experience, then that's an accurate review. All reviews are obscenely subjective. Anyone who says there's objective ways to review something doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
That's Consumer Reports, I guess. Like, if you want, like, just a rundown of all the features something has, like they do with cars, like that's one thing.
Yeah.
But even a car review is going to be subjective to how someone's experience in driving something, what they prefer a car to feel like is going to be.
But they're going to have hard data for that stuff too. Like, they're going to say the physics, and we can tell like what the load is on overroll, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like, they actually have data to use. With games and art, it's far more nebulous.
Right. But that's why Consumer Reports is a different thing than reviewing creative works. But even then, you can't quite know that this person feels the way that car drives the way you do. Like, it's you might prefer a harder or tighter steering, and they might not. It's a very subjective thing, and subjectivity is annoying because it means there's no real answers in the world.
And that's what people want.
That's what people want, is they want to be told that this is good or this is bad.
Yeah.
So either don't waste your time or go spend your money on it and you won't regret it. And then they get mad when they disagree with someone because they don't understand that everybody's different. And that's why the whole, like, you're all reviewers. I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made that you should have a wide diversity of tastes and opinions in your review crew, but like I've never seen a major outlet that didn't have that. You know, like none of us agreed with anything at G4 with each other. We would argue in the cubicles all the time about stuff. Yeah, but that was the point.
Yeah, I mean that's half of the fun of it. In honesty, I think it can be entertaining to debate things that you're passionate about.
Why we can yell at each other now, and it's just how things go.
Right.
You know, like if you disagree about shit, like it gets heated sometimes, and you got to walk away from the web team and cool off for a while because these people don't fucking know anything about all this shit. It's, you know, but like that's how it is. You know, it's not like any of that's less valid. Most of the real conflicts in those kinds of situations come when the people who have the power over the editorial are just sort of strong-arming the dissenting opinions, either positive or negative, and be like, no, this is what we're going to say about it. And then you feel like you're kind of stuck in this outlet that's sort of not giving the full picture of something.
Yeah. As someone who is in that position a lot, sometimes that happens after you've gone back and forth for like 5 days, and you can see that there's no conclusion coming. Like, at a certain point, somebody has to make the decision. I'm not saying everybody operates that way, but I know personally I try to do things that way. I'd try to let the discussion happen as long as possible until it became obvious it was no longer moving in any direction. And then if we still couldn't come to a conclusion, then I would kind of step in and be like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to have to be the final call on this. But I hear you. A lot of places don't operate that way.
Yeah,
it's true.
Well, the game I remember the game I think I most had to do that with and finally kind of step back and be like, well, I'm not going to get my way on this one, so I'm just going to have to step back and accept it, was Dragon Age 1. I was adamant that game was not a 5 out of 5.
No, I see.
And I know a lot of people think it is, but it's not. Yeah. And if you'd like proof of that, go try to play it again.
Yep.
And that was really what was in my head, was it felt primitive in 2008 or whatever.
And like, in 10 years.
And now, man, good fucking luck. Even the PC version, which is a lot better than the console version, like that game, I mean, I know we're never going to get a Dragon Age thing ever again, but like, man, a Dragon Age Origins remake would be very welcome. I mean, that would make that whole series a lot easier to play through at this point. But like, there was like, I was just stonewalled on that. Like, everyone was like, this is the greatest game ever made. And I'm just like, you're out of your fucking mind. Like I'm not saying we got to pan it, but like, to give it a 5 out of 5 is crazy considering how I can't make it look at the thing I want to look at.
I'm glad I was already gone when that happened.
Yeah.
I was not involved in that.
That was one of the conflicts where they added so many people to do the daily live thing that there was just a lot more,
too many cooks in the kitchen,
viewpoints fighting over things. Yeah. And there was a bit of a struggle between different sides of editorial and different ways of approaching things, and that was that.
Yep. One other thing that Polygon mentioned in its editorial was that maybe we should review things that are intended for kids differently. That we should look at them with a different eye.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think the people who made this would say that. Yeah. I think people who make these movies, I think Illuminations in general, they make movies that are friendly to kids, but I think they're making these movies for everybody.
I agree. Yeah.
I think that's.
And I would argue the first. I haven't seen this one, but the first Mario movie, I didn't feel offended by watching it as an adult.
I think it's for. I think the first Mario movie was certainly made with everybody in mind. Yeah. There's a lot of in jokes for people who've been playing Mario since the 80s. There's a lot of
and apparently this movie's the same way.
Things in there for the kids, like it's like Pixar is not for adults, but it's fine for adults are going to find stuff to like. Studio Ghibli, like that's for everybody. Yeah. I think that most animated companies.
Studio Ghibli is kind of the standard. I think everybody should be sort of trying to attain.
I mean, I don't think most people working in animation would disagree with you, but they would also point out that it's an impossible standard because nobody's that good. Yeah. Like, Studio Ghibli is just an ideal more than anything else, even to themselves.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
you're right.
Like, as soon as people other than Miyazaki started doing... I mean, Miyazaki was the harshest critic of his own son's work when he directed Tales of Earthsea. Yeah. And basically... Like, Miyazaki basically has not retired because of that. Like, he's like, well, you need someone that knows what they're doing. Yeah. And it's just sort of like, oh my God. Like you wonder if that kid's okay. I mean, not kid, he's like 40-something now. But, like, you wonder if he's okay. I mean, actually, he's done better.
Traumatized.
He directed, I think he did Up on Poppy Hill, which is, he's grown as a director. His son. But, like, and of course, Miyazaki keeps coming back and won't retire. They're like, yeah, he finished Boy and the Heron, and now he's like keeps coming back and doing something. We don't know what he's doing, but he's like planning something over in the back of the corner. We can't stop him from coming in. It's him, Yeah. So like, I think, and he's always said, like, you don't make these movies for an audience, you make them for yourself.
Yeah.
Which is sort of the key thing that's never going to happen in these giant studio. Like Inside Out 2 was made for everybody. Zootopia 2 was made for everybody. Mario Galaxy is made for everybody. But they're still products.
Yeah.
And the Studio Ghibli films are not products. They are films.
They
are art.
Yeah, they really are.
And you're never going to be able to fully get that from movies like this because they are intended, to quote Jeff Goldblum, to slap it on a lunchbox and you want to sell it.
Yeah.
Like
Action
that's what
figures,
it's for.
all that. Yeah.
Like Studio Ghibli sells merchandise incidentally.
Right.
Like
it doesn't want to. People beg for it. And they're like,
people
okay.
beg for it. I mean, it's almost if he could do the Calvin and Hobbes thing and sell nothing but the actual movies, I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
But it's just,
why not?
People like, but again, you're not buying a little miniature Howl's Moving Castle because the movie made you want to have a toy of Howl's Moving Castle. You're buying it because you love that movie and want something that you look at on the shelf and remember that movie that means something to you. That is very different from wanting like a Bowser action figure.
Yeah. One thing I will say though, I do think look, people do consume reviews. Like it is probably the most popular content, I would guess, at IGN. Probably their reviews do more views than anything else.
I would think so.
Maybe their retrospectives do big numbers for a long period of time.
Especially considering how horrible their interface for the walkthroughs is.
Right.
I mean, IGN, reviews are pretty much the only thing I do see posted or reposted from any of those outlets anymore, unless it's like some big crazy, unless somebody gets a big scoop on a news story. But usually, let's be honest, that's Bloomberg or a podcast these days, right?
Yeah.
Or a leaker or something. Or a report, maybe a report on Polygon about a leak.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, the reviews are still, when it comes to the enthusiast crowd, the main thing anybody really talks about, usually because they're mad at it.
And they want to argue about it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
I'll be honest, I have not actually followed one of those links and actually read the full review in a very long time, because usually the excerpt is what people, it's like some paragraph where they say that like, Mario's hat should be a war crime or something, and you're like, "Why? That's what we're arguing about? Is that somebody didn't like the
been doing
M?
This for 2 decades? There's certain parts of this industry that you just start to tune out. People arguing over review scores, I tuned out 15 years ago, because after you've dealt with it for 20 years, you know where it's all going to end up. You're going to go to the review, it's going to be misrepresented, they didn't actually say the thing that made everybody like you. After you've done this and gone down the rabbit hole so many times, you get tired of sticking your head in the hole, and I just sort of disconnect. But what I was getting at
to it.
What I was getting at though is that reviews are still very popular. So if we have sort of this disconnect where we're saying a product is this and then the fans are saying it's that, is that good for us? Do you think people will continue to consume that really popular content if they feel like they're not connecting with their thoughts with what the critics are saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they always have.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, to the degree that there's an audience that cares. I mean, nobody stopped going to GameSpot because they gave Zelda the 9.5 or whatever it was, whatever that was, the big scandal over that. Like,
well, they gave Ocarina of Time a perfect score. Nobody complained about that. Chrono Cross got the perfect 10, and people were angry about that. Still, like 30 years
or like
later.
the Shenmue thing, whatever that was.
Yeah,
like that. None of that matters.
Yeah.
It's just.
People, I mean, it could have an accumulative effect over years, because believe me,
but it didn't.
GameSpot's traffic is nowhere near what it was.
That has nothing to do with their reviews and everything to do with the changing media landscape.
Yeah,
that's.
I mean, it could be a little bit of everything contributing, but you're right. The vast majority.
But their stuff hasn't dropped
media.
any more than anyone else's in proportion. Like that's the thing, is everything's down.
Yeah,
like it's not just
except for IGN. Honestly, like it has come out as the leader and the winner ultimately.
I think that is momentum. It's just sort of like, well,
it's the 800-pound gorilla.
Everybody's always just gone there for whatever.
IGN is the snowball rolling downhill. It's bigger than everything else, so it's also getting bigger faster than everything else. So
but it
has the money to do all these crazy shows that other sites can't do. It's just, I mean, it's capitalism.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably the only ones that still have a live productions team.
For sure.
Dedicated year-round.
Guaranteed. And it used to be there were 6 or 7 different publications that had that, and not anymore. So I'm just curious what you think about this, because it's very interesting to think about.
I think the people that keep IGN afloat, I think they are an exponentially larger group of people than the people who actually read and care about their reviews.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, IGN is
because a lot of those hits have to just be daily news. Like that has to be what that is.
Yeah.
Because there just isn't enough otherwise content to be bothered with, unless there's a huge influx of people using their walkthroughs that they just don't talk about, and I feel like they'd say something.
Yeah. I think what really happens is people find other people that they trust. Like people who are on our chat right now, they trust our opinions on games because they've listened to us talk about games for years and years. They understand the direction we come at games from. And I think they've figured out, like, well, if Shane likes this game, I'm probably going to like it. If Matt likes this game, I'm probably going to like it.
And I think that for whatever reason, video and streaming and Twitch and all that has sort of become the new place people find that sort of person to identify with and listen to. And sometimes you find two old guys who've been talking about it forever, and sometimes you find a weird slob who's covered in cockroaches to believe. And, I guess it's just whatever you want.
Yep. Let's check in with chat on this. I'm curious to see what you guys think about reviews and how they're handled. Let's check over on YouTube real quick. Explore4938. I need to stop looking at sales and only look at my backlog. I have a ton of great games I need to play, but it's so hard to ignore a good sale.
That is true. What was that meme where it's like there's a meme that's like it's a diagram of a guy working out, and it's like, my body is a machine that turns this, and it's like a guy lifting into this, and it's like muscles. And someone altered it to be like, my body is a machine that turns this, and it shows like 90% off on Steam into this, and it's 0 hours played. And I'm like, yeah, that is accurate.
That's a good meme. Archivist42 says it's interesting how popular IGN is while everyone in their audience seems to complain about them. I mean, people just complain, period. Yeah. I mean, that's the internet, I really believe, is 75% whining.
I think it's 75% bots, but it's the rest of it
75% of the real people.
Of that 25% is probably whining. Well, it's also like, you always have to remember, this was probably a more common phrase when we were starting in media and all that, but the old heads, the old school, the people that remembered what it was like to cut on tape,
right,
would always say, like, for every complaint letter, assume 100 other people feel that way. For every praise letter, assume 1,000 other people feel that way. Because people don't say anything when they're happy.
I've heard that from a car dealer before. He said if somebody likes a car, they'll tell one person. If somebody hates a car, they'll tell 10.
Yep.
And he's like, you have to deal with that in this business all the time. And I'm like, that's an interesting way to look at it. Devin Danger says, I'm more interested in what the cockroach thinks. Silk Snake says, I enjoy discussions. Reviews mean nothing to me. Vincent says, most people who have something to say are the ones who differ from the consensus. Interesting. What else we got? Cinetyke, reviews matter to me, unless it's a thing I want to play or watch no matter what. Sometimes I enjoy a review just for the writing. I like hearing that. That's great to hear. E-Demon says, I stopped reading reviews long ago. I vastly prefer uncut gameplay, to be honest, most of the time. I'm assuming as long as the player is adequate that's playing the game.
There's certain Cuphead footage wouldn't really help.
Right. That's what I was hinting at. Vortex Complex says, I just like hearing what people have to say about the arts and entertainment. Didn't read any reviews for Mario, though. Okay. What else we got in here? Andy T. Monahan, it's more than the scores. Some people don't understand that this is a movie about Super Mario, but they have to inject social ideologies into it instead of just enjoying the movie for what it is, fun. Okay.
Obviously everything is woke and bad until it's so popular that you can't be seen disliking the thing that's popular. Then you say, well, it was popular because it wasn't woke.
Right.
They did that with Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
They did it with the original Mario movie because it was woke because Princess Peach was girl bossing. And then all of a sudden, no, it was very, very traditional.
It's hilarious. Meteor316, thank you for Twitch Prime. That's awesome, man. 10 months. That's awesome. Gracias. Now people are just sharing their moments from the Mario movie that their kids really liked. Yeah. Zen Shuriken, I love Boy in the Heron. Everybody does. Yeah. Who has good taste?
You know what I just realized last night as I was trying to go to sleep? I never bought Boy in the Heron on Blu-ray.
Really?
What the hell?
What do you have left to buy at this? That's it.
I really just collect the stuff on disc that I really, really love.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's two things now because I didn't buy Solo. So I don't have a
Why am I not surprised?
I don't have a complete Star Wars collection anymore, and I only have Rise of Skywalker because it came in a box set.
Oh.
But the only things I keep up with are the MCU and Studio Ghibli.
Well, those are good choices.
But now I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to find the slipcover. It's very hard to do that after it's already been out for a long time.
Yeah. Erebus Jones says, if this film is for everybody, then they missed the mark. I took my boy to see it on the weekend, and it's poor. It's not as funny as the first, and the story is nonsense. That seems to be the consensus.
That is pretty much what the reviews are saying.
Yeah.
So.
The critics, that's what they seem to be saying mostly. But it does seem like the parents are like, oh, wait a minute. Like, I actually enjoyed it and had fun with my kids. And, like, look, if you walk out of the film and your kid's smiling and he's skipping down, I mean, I get that. Like, you want your kids to go out and have a good time. You want 2 hours yourself where you can just sit there and be like, whew, and they could just be taken away by this film. Like, your perspective definitely changes when you're taking kids to stuff. Like, no matter whether it's a film or anything, like, if they have fun, then somehow you ended up having fun.
Yeah, but I have no problem believing Mario Galaxy is a mediocre film.
Me either. That's not what I'm trying to say.
But again, I will always argue that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
If you're depending on the audience and if the IP is bulletproof enough, because look how many Minions movies there are.
Yeah.
Like, again, that's same studio. It's eliminate like that. It doesn't need to be, best picture caliber.
Yeah.
To be successful. Like,
that's true.
And I'm sure, like, people, I always think it was one of my favorite things that ever happened working in journalism was we went to, I don't remember if you were there yet. It was the first Resident Evil movie. We went to the press screening.
I was not there.
I think I'd just been hired full time, so no, you weren't there yet. But we went to the press screening. The whole team, we left work early to go to the press screening in San Francisco, and because Capcom invited us and everything. Then we go and we're sitting in the theater, and I'm waiting, and Adam comes back in from the lobby, and he goes, "You will not believe what I just saw out there." And I'm like, "What?" And this is a story about Mick LaSalle again, the San Francisco Chronicle movie critic from when I was as long as I can remember, and I've always bring him up as an example that a good critic doesn't have to agree with you, because I always knew I disagreed with him on everything, but that made him important and valuable. Because if I read this thing and he hated this movie, I'm like, I'm probably like that,
right?
And he was usually correct. Like that means he was a good critic. He was he was consistent. He expressed himself. Everything he said about a movie, I was like, I don't care about any of that, and I think that's stupid, so I'm going to go see it anyway.
Yeah.
But that made him a good critic.
Yeah.
Because
consistency.
He gave me valuable information that helped me make a decision about whether I wanted to see this thing or not, and that is his job. His job is not to agree with me. And apparently what was happening was out in the lobby, Capcom, the list to get into the screening, it was controlled because it was a dual production. So I think it was Paramount and New Line were both involved. So both of them were like jointly handling getting the press in, and neither one had Mick LaSalle on their list.
Oh.
So they weren't letting him in, and he was out there like, what the fuck
melting
is wrong?
down.
Like at the time, Mick LaSalle was probably, if anyone in the entire San Francisco Bay Area should get to see your press screening, it's him.
Yeah.
Like, he is probably the most important film critic in 100-mile radius at that point in time.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? And he's like, what is going on? And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Like, and like 5 minutes later, Mick LaSalle himself comes in and sits down next to me, because that's the row of all the press. And it's just like, I cannot fucking believe what I just had to fucking go through to see this stupid fucking movie. I have seen 6 films today. I do not need this shit for Resident fucking Evil. And I'm just like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened. Like, and like, as soon as we got out of the movie, I called my dad, because
you told him
he also hated me. Because Nicholas, he was one of those, like, he was very, I guess you'd say, pretentious a little bit. Like, he was very much, film and film, very likes the French movie, the art, and like he wasn't very populist, basically, I guess you'd say. And my dad, who was always a supporter of both artsy films and like popcorn, my dad did not make a distinction between like the best picture winner and the dumb action movie you want to see. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, if you're gonna have a good time in the movies, you're having a good time in the movies. Doesn't matter why. And he was like, that's fantastic. He said something about like, I'm glad you have that job, so I got to know that happened, or something like that.
That's great.
But that was one of my favorite things. Not that I want bad things to happen to Mick LaSalle. But like, it was just very funny that he was so frustrated with what had just happened, which certainly anyone who's tried to get into one of these press things understands. But also that he's like, I had to fight this hard to see this movie. Like, fuck you. And then you watch the movie, and it's just like, yep, he was correct. That this was not worth having an argument in a lobby for. But here we are.
Giles, I'll never understand how to pronounce your name. I'll keep trying though. Giles. Do you have any clue for that one? We've tried a bunch of times.
Maybe I go Joe Osment.
Joe Osment. Yeah. All right, we'll keep trying. Thank you for Twitch Prime. What else we got here? Since I don't play like I used to, I use reviews a lot more now to inform my buying decisions. Okay. Mellow Pintor, I miss Brandon Jones reviews. I don't know what that means because he didn't review games. Like, you mean the reviews that he voiced?
The voiceover?
Yeah, I guess that you miss his voice because he did leave Easy Allies. He doesn't even. I think he does still voice their reviews though. It seems like they don't do reviews anymore. Like, they've stopped almost all their content. They pretty much only do a podcast now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's really nuts.
Especially given how they started.
It's really nuts what's happened there. Seriously, I don't know what's going on now, but yeah, Brandon never reviewed games. Like, he just did the voiceover for our reviews. I know Adam and Morgan had to deal with that on X-Play too, where like you and I would review a game and they'd have to take the guff for it in public.
Yeah, one of that made it more complicated because they did review
sometimes
stuff.
every once in a while.
So
yeah.
they did write some reviews, and then
I mean, maybe like one a year. Like, Adam would do like maybe 2 a year. Morgan would do like one.
No, there was a period where Adam and Morgan were doing one per week. But
I mean, that's after I left then. Because I assigned all the reviews. They weren't doing anything when I was there.
Early on after you left, and I think Tom Price was there. I think Adam was doing like about written review one every 2 weeks.
Wow. That's a bump up.
Because he wanted to. I think
at
that time he wanted to. Morgan not so much, I think, because she was very busy anyway. Because they had
did
her
stuff outside of work. And...
Well, also they had her doing all kinds of things extra in the network as well. Like, you know, she had to be on a Tag Show and do all that.
Yeah.
You know. And more and more their time became monopolized on air, and they didn't do that. They didn't even like write the segments as much anymore after a while.
Yeah.
Because it was harder and harder.
Commander Fett, reviews, give me a ballpark where the quality of the game is. I won't know if I'll enjoy it until I get my hands on it. Movies are something I like to enjoy since the time commitment is less. That is a big difference.
Yeah, you would think that that's a big difference in the sense that, like, games cost more, they take more time. Like, I mean, yeah, movies are expensive compared to what they used to be, but it's like, okay, I'm going to spend $17 for 2 hours, and if it sucks, like, it's not that bad, whatever. It's like a little bit, but like, yeah, a 30-hour game, you know. If you really want to be a dick about it, you could go get your money back at the movie at the ticket.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably.
Actually, yeah. Lynn Jeff 99, thank you, brother, for Twitch Prime.
Usually,
months.
Most theaters will give you a refund if you walk out.
In the how long? Like the first 30 minutes, hour?
Like first like 2/3 of the film,
wow.
Usually. Like, but again, I've never walked out of a movie, so I've never done that.
Times Any says, I prefer reviews that just give a general idea. I don't need a score. But we all know there are two types of people: those that can extrapolate from incomplete information. Yeah. And Erebus
that's the thing
up.
is like no score. The score is the only thing anybody really focuses on anyway. Like more than half. I'd say 90% of the time, if someone's arguing over a review, they're arguing over the numerical score, and no one will ever say anything about the text.
No, because they didn't read it. Erebus follows up and says, to be fair, my boy did enjoy the Mario Galaxy movie, but it bored me silly. Which goes back to Polygon's contention of maybe we're reviewing them wrong, these products for kids. But
I don't think they're intended just for kids.
Yeah,
I
agree.
There are things that are intended just for kids. Like, I don't think the Smurfs movie was meant to like appeal to everybody. And again, it depends. You know, the Transformers 1's trailers are targeted to the perceived kids audience of Illumination's Minions movies, I think. But then you watch the movie, and it's actually probably the best depiction of Megatron and Optimus's relationship ever put on screen. And it's actually a really good meditation on how two people that have similar outlooks and ideologies end up on opposite sides of a conflict. Like, it's a really good exploration of that kids are probably not really going to understand. But you would never know that from the that's one of the issues of, like, I don't think that movie was made for kids enough to some degree.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was a little much. But how can you know that until you have contact with the audience?
Yep. Nox Aeternitis says, kids don't care about the plot. It's more important to show cool looking things on screen no matter the reason. I mean, maybe, but what about stuff like Charlotte's Web or...
I don't think Charlotte's Web would fly these days.
Watership Down.
I mean, I certainly cared about that as a kid. I mean,
the Ricky Tikki Tavi. The plots mattered to me and all that stuff as a kid. Like, I don't know, Nox Aeternitis. I mean...
That might be a generational change.
Maybe.
I don't know.
To me, it definitely mattered. Like, big time. Yeah. I mean, those are the movies that really stayed seared in my mind from childhood, more than the others.
The Last Unicorn.
Yeah,
and
all that stuff.
The stuff I remember is for the story. Secret of Nim.
Yeah, another one. That was great, too. Yeah. How come we never got a second Power Rangers movie from Joaquin Dragoon? I thought it did well.
We've had 3 Power Rangers movies. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there was more than one, yeah. Vincent says he did review some games at Easy Allies. I didn't know that, actually. I didn't know that he had moved over to reviewing games. I worked with him for almost 10 years, and he never reviewed anything. What else we got here? Yeah, we should probably move on. We got a bunch more topics to get through. But, yeah. I mean, it is interesting. We do this topic somehow, some way, Matt, comes up once every, 18 months. Reviews, whether it's reviews of a game or film or whatever, it's something that the discussion is always evolving and always changing, and so it's always interesting to discuss it because as the viewership changes and we age and the average age of the person who's interested in the stuff that we're doing change, it all matters. So always good to check in on reviews after a year and a half, 2 years, and see how things have changed, and that's what we just did right there.
Even Alfred Hitchcock said reviews didn't really matter.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
And he was mostly because he didn't like reviews, he didn't like critics, but he was always adamant that it didn't matter what the reviews. Even the reviews could all hate something, but if it was good enough for the audience would go see it.
Yeah,
and he was generally correct. And now, granted, he was making some pretty daring stuff, so the critics didn't like his stuff, not because it was the Mario movies. Criticisms tend to be oh, it's boring and by the numbers and there's no life to it, whereas his criticism of his stuff was this is too much, this is too crazy, and two different angles on it. But critic proof has been a thing for a long time, and it continues to be. There's a point at which if the audience wants to see something, they're going to see it, whether you like it or not. And sometimes that's a dumb, brainless movie that it becomes a big hit, and sometimes it's the big scandalous thing that the church tells you not to go to, like Peyton Place,
right? Yeah.
Which, if you have the time, Peyton Place is a movie from the 50s based on a scandalous book because the book mentions divorce. Yeah. Basically, that was the scandal.
Well, back then.
Yeah. And Peyton Place was a big schism in the Catholic world because the Legion of Decency said that good Catholics shouldn't see it. It's a sin to see this movie, and people said anyway. Go watch Peyton Place and see if you can figure out what anyone was offended by.
Yeah, you can.
There's no way. It's the most. It's a boring drama, basically. Yeah. But it had. It was just a different era, and nowadays we just argue about whether something is worth $17. Back then, it was if you go see this movie, you will burn in hell.
Right, you will die.
Because someone mentioned being separated.
Reefer Madness, all that mania. Yeah. All right, we got to move on. Next up, we're going to talk about the PlayStation 6 Handheld. That's right. There is a PlayStation 6 Handheld. And on some fronts, it feels like we may know more about the PlayStation 6 Handheld than we do about the PlayStation 6. Now, it's been a while since Sony has had a real standalone handheld. The last one was the Vita. Now, you're seeing B-roll right now.
How many times we got to teach you this lesson, old man?
Yeah. The B-roll you're seeing right now is for PlayStation Portal, which is a streaming handheld that streams gameplay from your PlayStation 5. It doesn't actually have a GPU and a CPU inside it. It's literally just streaming the video feed from your PlayStation 5 to the handheld. So it doesn't count. The last one PlayStation had was the Vita, which was a miserable failure, which on its face makes me wonder why PlayStation would be making another handheld.
I mean, I guess just because of the success of the PC handhelds, I guess. I don't know.
Is it Switch 2? Is that really all it is? Is it trying to compete with Switch?
Chasing that idea, that seems like a dumb choice.
Short-sighted, for sure.
As the guy says at the end of Crocodile Dundee 2, when you were a child, did you chase a snake into the cane fields? Do not try to fight Nintendo on their own turf. That's one of the basic. It's right up there with never get involved in a land war in Asia. Just don't do that.
I mean, it's the same reason that the PSP and the Vita exist. I mean, that's why Sony did it. They're trying to compete with Nintendo in this space.
And how long did they exist?
Yeah, they
again.
I would say they flopped.
We know the answer to this, Sony.
We know where it's going to end up.
Yeah,
yeah.
But and how much is this going to cost for something that's the power of the weakest system out right now? Why would I throw $500 to that when I can throw a few $100s more and get the actual console?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a handheld person anyway, so what do I know? But it just the idea of that is crazy to me.
Well, this week, a well-known and reliable hardware leaker named Kepler L2 shared that he has received information that the PlayStation 6 Portable will outpace the Xbox Series S, not the X, the Xbox Series S, and based upon the specs that Valve has provided so far...
The system that everyone's having trouble getting stuff to run on?
Right.
What a target.
I mean, you're right. That's a really good point. And they say, based upon the specs that Valve has released so far, that it will also outdo the Steam Deck 2. Steam Deck 2 at this point, Is that ever coming out? Because Valve needs to get like its Steam machine and its new Frame VR headset out first, and the new Steam controller, which it announced all at once.
Yeah, it's a bad time to roll out a bunch of hardware products, it feels like.
I mean, it's a bad time to roll out hardware, period, right now. Even though RAM prices are starting to come down a little bit right now, all the other component prices from the tariffs are still outrageous.
Well, then on top of that, who has the money for this?
Right. Yeah, I mean, who wants it is the question. Who wants a PlayStation 6 handheld? Some of the other information...
Not I can tell you.
Me either. No. Some of the other things that Kepler L2 said... He said that the PlayStation handheld GPU is a bit ahead of the Xbox Series S in raster, while also being massively ahead when it comes to path tracing. He said Nintendo's adopted Switch 2 upscaler uses older convolutional neural network (CNN) models, whereas FSR5, PSSR3 will have better image quality than even current DLSS 4.5. And then he also says it will launch before the Steam Deck 2, but 2028 at the earliest. And he claims that that's Valve's new target as well, as 2028 for Steam Deck 2. So that's the information that Kepler L2 gave us about this. And to me, I really struggle, other than trying to compete with Nintendo in the Switch 2, I really struggle to see why PlayStation would bother with this. Why have 2 SKUs for PlayStation 6 that you have to satisfy? Why would it bring on itself what Microsoft has been dealing with all this time, which you mentioned, which is developers and publishers complaining about having to make games for Xbox Series S? So maybe this is a case where PlayStation is not going to mandate with developers and publishers the way Microsoft did, that everything has to work on the PS6 handheld. But that also would feel like that's a death sentence for the PS6 handheld. Like, I'm really wondering if all this is true, or if this is just like smoke that Sony's blowing to try to throw people off the trail.
I'm sure it's a real project. I don't know if it'll ever see the light of day.
Yeah. Because let's think 2028. Let's say in November, Congress flips, tariffs go away.
I don't even know what April 28th looks like.
Right. Right. Yeah. But let's say in November, Congress flips, tariffs go away, and you might be able to make a piece of hardware for at least a reasonable price at that point.
You're still in the question of what the economy looks like.
If people have
the disposable
income or not.
Because this is disposable income on top of disposable income. Because I think a lot of people would not be buying this as their primary PlayStation 6, I would think.
Well, the other concern, obviously, is that the PlayStation 6 itself, right now, is rumored to cost around $1,000. Now, obviously, again, if the tariffs are taken away and the RAM continues to fall, the prices for RAM, if the AI bubble pops, maybe PlayStation 6 isn't $1,000. Maybe it's $600, $700, $800 instead. Still, even at that price, best case scenario price, you're going to ask somebody to pay the same amount for some handheld to take with them? I just don't get it. I don't. Pactor claims that Steam Deck has only sold about 2 to 3 million units lifetime. So if you're PlayStation or even Nintendo or Microsoft with its Xbox Ally handheld that's been out on the market for a while now, what are you thinking?
I don't know.
I mean,
that doesn't seem like numbers worth throwing
chasing
all this at.
Yeah, I don't get it. So we keep getting information about this PlayStation 6 handheld. I'll just be honest with you. I really am starting to think that it's just going to be vaporware. Because I can't see a functional market for it. I just can't. Even with the PlayStation locking down the market, it's going to be even more so next generation. I mean, I will say, I don't know what percentage of players own more than one console. But maybe, and this is definitely looking on the bright side of life, maybe people, instead of buying Xbox as that second console, they get the handheld instead of the Switch 2. I don't know. That to me is trying to look on the bright side of things. Because otherwise, I can see no reason why PlayStation would spend the R&D, the production. You're also splitting your user base. You're creating one set of PlayStation 6 users that have this weak hardware. You're creating this other set of PlayStation 6 users that want bleeding edge tech. None of it makes sense to me why it would do it. And I do think that by the time it comes down to it, 3 years from now or whatever, it will never come out. I think. What about you?
I mean, I think it probably would be wise to abort on this one. Like, I don't think I have a hard time believing the market's there, and then you're like the fifth comer to this market. Like, what makes you think that's what anyone's gonna jump on?
That's the other thing too. When I was loading up the TriCaster with B-roll for this topic, I was shocked at how many handhelds there are now. Because we have the Steam Deck, we have Switch, we have like 5 different PC handhelds now. Lenovo's put out a couple.
Do you think the PlayStation one will be better than these in any significant way?
And Matt, they've all pretty much failed.
Yeah.
Like all those Lenovo, they're all dead. Nobody bought them. Like there's some other third party handheld, PC handheld that just increased its price to $1,300 this week. So, I mean, that's kind of the ballpark we're looking at. I can't imagine anybody would want to buy a handheld for $1,000. That's just insanity.
Like if you had something that like was just absurd and performed kind of on par with the PlayStation 6 console unit, and it was just like crazy luxury
weighed like 40 pounds.
Yeah, like just like some crazy thing that was like, not closer to what the S is to the X, but with the power jump to the next generation, like maybe. Yeah. So maybe like a handheld that like was as good as a PS5, maybe.
Yeah.
I guess I could see that. Like maybe you're hoping that people buy that instead of the PS6 because they prefer to have a handheld. They don't want to share a screen. There's too crowded. They don't own a TV they don't share with people. Whatever. But this feels like why?
Well, I think another problem with all these handhelds that have been coming out is that they've lost sight of what a handheld is for. Like, there are certain games that work well on handhelds. For Nintendo, it's kind of worked out conveniently that it already makes a lot of games, and therefore, organically, it makes a lot of games that work great on a handheld. Turn-based stuff, things where you can pause and it doesn't matter.
Or just things that look like that.
Right.
Like, their stuff translates to a smaller screen very well.
It does. Because their graphics are simpler, there's not a lot of detail. Like, it's
even even the details like Metroid and Fire Emblem translate to the screen well.
It does.
And they think about it when they make the games. Most of these games are not being, outside of Nintendo, are not being designed with the idea that they'll be seen on a small screen eventually. I mean, I know there's like the Steam Deck ready thing. Yeah. But that isn't going to help you when you're trying to play Dawn of War 3.
Imagine playing like Elden Ring on Switch 2 on handheld mode. Like, no thanks. Like, that does not sound like a good time to me at all. Like, I'd rather just not play anything than
I'm
play
thinking about stuff like Rogue Trader.
Right.
Or like these
where you
really
heavy, detail. Yeah. Where like the text is real small and stuff like that. And you're right. Nintendo has been building its games all along with this concept in mind. You can't just... I thought PlayStation learned this already, Matt. That you can't just jump into this market and just put your fancy games on a handheld, and that's not good enough. It doesn't work.
It's the meme of like arrogant Sony.
Yeah,
basically.
It really is. So I don't know what's going to happen with this. It's a long ways away.
Yeah, it might just be something that's internal because I'm sure there are shareholders or executives who perceive this as the hotness right now, so you have to have some kind of program sort of exploring this idea. Doesn't mean it's going to actually make it to market. Yeah.
Let's check in with chat very quickly and see what you guys are saying about this. See if you guys are interested in it or not. Archivist42 on YouTube says, I was a big fan of PSP back in the day, but smartphones killed that original mass market potential. I mean, the other thing with the PSP, people always say that, it wasn't as bad as people say, that they sold more than people thought. It was a big piracy machine, the PSP was. A lot of people literally got it for piracy. The game here, because here's the thing, the hardware sold very well, the games did not. So definitely people were using it for something besides playing games. And I think you could jailbreak it and watch video and stuff on it and all that kind of stuff too. So it was a little bit of an anomaly and a difference in how other handhelds are handled. Let's see if anybody on Twitch has anything to say. Vincent says, it's not like the Vita where if support dries up, you're screwed without modding. Or is it? I mean, because you're relying on not just your own developers, but third parties to create this gimped version of the game. Now, with scaling and the way things work, everything's a PC now. It's not as hard as it used to be, but it's still a pain in the butt to get it to run well and the frame rates aren't bogging down and to adjust the text so that it's not too small on the little... There's work that has to be done to turn these games into handheld games even today.
Yeah, but it's not the same as like you got to make a whole other game.
Version, right.
Which is what kills the Vita.
Yep. That is definitely what killed the Vita, for sure. But see, the PSP was this, though. A lot of those games were basically the console version running at a really crappy resolution. And people just didn't care. People were like, I don't want a handheld to play the same game I was playing on my console.
Well, the problem was that most of those games that were doing that were from the previous generation. They were PS2 games.
Right, that's true.
So that was, and then they even swore when the Vita came out, like, it's going to have its own library and they're not just be ports of PlayStation console games. And then that's exactly what they were when it wasn't just nothing. Yeah. The only company that really supported Sony's handhelds to any degree with like original games or new products were Atlas and Falcom. Like the Ys and Persona stuff was great, and that's basically it.
And it's still legendary to this day.
And NIS did all that stuff. Like you had if you
love
Japanese
guys,
if you love the anime game stuff, like
and Persona,
that was the only place to play Persona 2, Innocent Sin for a while, like in English. Yeah. Like there's a lot of. In that regard, there was something recommended, but that you're talking about an audience of thousands for that. Not enough to sustain one of those things.
Yep.
This, I don't know. I mean, it's just like another thing you can buy if you want. Like, it doesn't feel like something you could make a must-have item.
I don't think it'll ever be a must-have. Zen Shuriken says, look at what Ain and Burnick is doing with their handhelds. I'm not familiar with that at all. This is what we want. My hand's go numb holding an 8-pound brick like the Steam Deck. I mean, that's the thing. It's like if you want real power in these things, you got to load them up with tech, and then they become uncomfortable to use. Like it's really a science.
I mean, that's why the Switch has a stand, right?
Yeah.
Like, then you're like, you got to stand up, and you got a controller paired with, so you're just basically playing a console with a tiny little screen now.
Yeah.
And like, what am I doing?
Yep. E-Demon, I haven't bought a console, not counting Switch 2, since the 360 era. So I'm guessing you're just a PC gamer. Nothing wrong with that. Big Smoke 82, do you think the PlayStation Handheld will have its own bespoke version of games? Yeah, we kind of already hit that. It doesn't really have to now.
Yeah, they'd be insane.
That is an advantage over Vita for sure. ETH even reminds us that the Legend of Heroes Trails games got started on the PSP. Yeah. Yep. All right, well, there you go. That's the latest on the PlayStation 6 handheld. Again, I keep saying that because it would be easy to believe that a PlayStation 5 handheld could be coming because we're probably going to be playing the PlayStation 5 for at least 3 more years. But no, this is for PlayStation 6. I still think probably we'll never see it. All right, next up, we're going to talk about Marathon. Is it the hot new extraction shooter, Matt, or is it still Arc Raiders?
Oh, it's still Arc Raiders.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So we got news this week from an analyst who estimated, based upon available data, that Marathon has sold 1.2 million units so far. Now, that was like last week, so by now I'm sure it's sold some more. But roughly 1.2 million units sold on its launch month. I think it came out on March 5th, so it had a good amount of time in March for sales. And he also said that 70% of those sales were on Steam instead of on PlayStation.
The PC audience has adopted it more readily.
Also with Arc Raiders as well, by the way. So first question is, Matt, what do you think about 1.2 million for the first month for Marathon?
Well, at least it's better than Concord.
Yeah. We never really got sales numbers for Concord, did we?
There was never any solid data, but like I think the speculation was like 200,000 or something. Like it was some obscenely low number.
Yeah, so this is definitely way better than its last game as a service.
I'm sure they were hoping for like 5 times that.
Yeah.
But
so this week, the first Ascendant or last Ascendant, I can't remember which it's called. It's the first Ascendant, I think. It's a third-person shooter game as a service, and it's been on the market for like 2 or 3 years. They had 130 million people play that game since it launched, and they're gonna kill it.
Wow.
Now, they never charged for that. That was free to play from launch. So nobody ever paid any money for the game itself, but obviously they were paying for microtransactions, cosmetics, all that kind of stuff.
So in comparison, Destiny 1, in its first month of release, sold 6.3 million units.
Yeah. And that was a full-price game.
Yeah.
And so it generated a lot of money. This was a $40 game. 1.2 million sold. I think Pachter did the math. It's made like 200-some million. And word on the street is that this game started in development in full around 2020. So it was in development for 4 or 5 years, something like that. They are saying that 600 or 700 people worked on it for 4. They are way in the hole on this game as of right now. The question becomes, now they also came out and said, Bungie came out and said that we are into supporting this game, quote unquote, for the long haul. So I don't know if Sony has went to Bungie and given it a vote of confidence and said, don't worry about sales.
I think you just say shit now
and deal with the...
would you be at all surprised if they pulled support tomorrow?
No. Well, tomorrow I would be.
Because these are lies. It's just what you say to try to make people confident that they're not buying into something that's going to be gone in a month.
Yeah.
Well, do I think it's be gone in a month? No. But do I think that means anything? Also no.
What means anything?
What they said.
What they said about the long haul? Yeah. So you think it could be possible that in 3 months we get the press release that nope, it's done.
I mean, if your
we'll
game's
refund
if your game's
cosmetics.
losing $100,000 a day, then that is a pretty long haul. 3 months.
What do you mean by losing $100,000 a day?
If they're losing money compared to what it's selling versus what it costs to run it versus the cost of making it, like
Gotcha.
at a certain point the math doesn't add up. You know you're never going to make your money back, and you cut and run and write it off as a loss.
I mean, can we make that determination right now about Marathon, Matt?
We don't really know what they spent on it or what they're considering to have spent on it versus what they paid for Bungie versus what Bungie was doing to support other games in their stable. Like, there's no real way to know. Only Sony can do that math, really.
I meant, do we know already that they should just kill this game?
I don't know. I mean, it depends.
1.2 million
I mean,
sold.
you can certainly survive with that amount of players,
If they're really dedicated.
But line must go up, and I imagine Sony wanted 10 million and growing, and if they're not going to get that, it may not be worth it to continue for them. It doesn't mean they're correct.
Right.
It just means that, like, you have to have a certain critical mass to be worth their time. I mean, Helldivers, I think Helldivers 2 partly survives because I think it doesn't cost anywhere near as much as a Bungie production.
One thing I will say is, anecdotally, people praise this game way more than they've praised, like, Concord and other games like that. There are people that legitimately love this game.
Yeah,
For sure.
I think this game is liked better by the people who have actually played it more
And
than,
stuck with it more than anything.
the other failures of this sort of genre. I don't think it's a bad game. I
don't think it's a bad game at all.
I was not going to play it.
I just think it was the worst possible time to release an extraction shooter after the first ever, like, smash hit extraction shooter was launched.
And obviously, like, Arc Raiders has no bearing on me. I haven't even played Arc Raiders. But again, it's just not a kind of game I want to play.
Yeah.
But of the ones I played of this nature, it seemed pretty good. Like, if I was gonna play games like this, I would probably play this or Arc Raiders, but I'm not gonna, so that doesn't really help them. I'm not someone to really pay attention to when it comes to this kind of game. So I don't know. It just comes down to what Sony corporate expects things to be. Like, a lot of times shutting these things down has nothing to do with any kind of, like, reasonable expectation or reasonable performance metric. It's just, we wanted it to be this pie in the sky number and it's not, so we're going to kill it.
If you're Sony, what do you do?
If I'm Sony, I have a lot of other questions to ask myself first.
First, what do you do with the game? And then second, what do you do with Bungie after you've made the decision about the game?
I don't know. I mean, like, personally, if I was, like, just solely the sole human in charge of Sony, I would probably cut the budget and staff on this down to absolute skeleton crew and put everybody on another, like, single player friendly project from Bungie. Like, bring back Destiny and Halo kind of idea with a game, or maybe like Destiny, but probably not. But I'd probably try to go for more of a Halo thing. But something at least akin to Destiny, where, like, you can play that game by yourself and have a good time. Like, it's functional as a solo game, even though it's a multiplayer online thing. You team up periodically. Like, make it something, an experience you can control more, which is, I think, something, if you're not into just sort of the competitive match-based play, most people just want to play something for an hour or so when they unwind and turn it off, and that is not really something that these competitive games lend themselves to.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
Especially considering the grind this thing expects you to do to get to, like, the stuff that apparently they consider to really be the game.
And then it gets wiped.
Yeah, and then they
In
wipe
this game, they wipe it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would basically pivot it to be making, a game more like the one that made $350 million in the first month, as opposed to just struggling to eke out any kind of interest from a limited audience that has already got 4 other games to play as a lifestyle choice.
But you would keep Bungie.
I would
keep
kill
Bungie.
I have spent too much money on Bungie to kill them right now.
$3.6 billion.
Like, because that there's a hit in there somewhere. You know that they can do it. They've done it before. This
game is very well crafted.
Yeah.
It's just not my thing.
It feels good to play.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell it's Bungie. You put this in my hands and I know in 2 minutes it's Bungie. Like, it's nothing else quite feels like their gunplay.
Yeah.
So no, I would definitely not shut Bungie down. I cannot guarantee that Sony as it exists now
very
wouldn't.
trigger happy.
Yeah, they shut down something that people that never did anything the other week. Like, it was just What did like, for what? It was going to
Dark Outlaw games.
Yeah, which is going to save you how much? Nothing. It's a blip in comparison to what their full revenue and full budget outlay is, but they still did it. Like, I don't know what they're thinking anymore. I don't know what they're thinking, making this many games as a service and not expecting it to be a fucking bloodbath when only 2 of them become hits. Like, I don't know.
The way Sony and PlayStation has been lately, I do not have confidence that Bungie's okay.
No, I mean, well, look at the Concord. I mean, it's not like, again, it's not like they're Bungie necessarily, but you could tell that was a team that had a lot of talent there, and they could have made a great game. You turn them onto a single player game or a smaller scale project that you think would be more appealing, and you probably make your money back off what you lost on Concord, then some. If you like, but it's but that's going to be like 5 years from now, and that's not good enough for the modern shareholder or the modern executive or CEO. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know what they are expecting or why they think, not to go back to Far Cry again, but it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, which seems to pretty much be what Sony's business strategy is right now.
Well, Destiny 2 has not made much money since Sony bought Bungie. Basically, the expansion.
Because I think that game was done growing as soon as they started killing content for it.
I agree. But PlayStation really has not recouped any of that 3.6 billion, which makes me nervous that it may be like, you know what are we doing here?
Yeah, like if you want to go back to like what really started the Bungie problem, I think it's that when they started removing early content of Destiny 2. Like, because I'll tell you, like, whether it makes any sense or not, that cemented the idea that I will never play Destiny 2 again. Because I was behind on that. I didn't have time to play the stuff that some of the stuff they removed. And I'm like, well, if I can't play that, I'm never going to do that again.
It ended it for me, too.
That was the end of Destiny 2 for me.
I never played it again.
Yep.
That was it. So
if two people who have such different outlooks on shooters have that same reaction to that, that should tell you something.
It really should. And so I'm not convinced that Sony believes that Bungie can make a game that people want to play and buy. I'm not convinced of that right now. And so I'm not 100% sure that it's going to survive, that Sony won't kill it.
I think they can, but I don't know if Sony realizes that or if Sony is willing to wait for that.
Right.
We don't know what else Bungie has in the pipeline.
My hope is that it's working on something really cool right now.
I hope so. It's either, I hope it's that and not like all hands are on deck on this and they have to start from basically pre-production.
Pachter said that he heard through the grapevine that there was about 600 people working on this. That's a lot.
That tracks given the production value, but like
I would have never greenlit this project.
Who in the world thought you were going to make your money back?
I would have never greenlit this project.
Never. No, I wouldn't. I would have greenlit a single player marathon game.
Yeah, I would have too. And maybe that's the pivot here. Is you turn Marathon into a single player game because everyone unanimously likes the world.
You know what they should do is they should do a big tie-in with Project Hail Mary.
No,
because they take place in the same solar system.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
like just have Rocky show up. It's Tau Ceti. Who cares?
Yeah. So anyway, things are not looking good for Marathon. And again, I do realize that a lot of you guys and girls are really into the game. Like the people who are playing it and have stuck with it, like they love it. Like it's really, I can't remember a game as a service where it feels like the people who are playing it are giving it such a positive response. It's been a long time. So there's something there, but it's not enough. It's just such a niche subgenre that you're never going to get hit critical mass.
And you're never going to pull people away from what they're already playing in that subgenre.
Because it's great.
Especially as soon as they find out that you wipe progress in this one, why would you ever go to that?
That's a bold decision by Bungie and probably a stupid one. Retro Modern Gamer says the Steam player count for Marathon right now is 21,000 players.
Not a lot.
Sexual Yacht Club.
Obviously it's the middle of a Tuesday, so what can you really say? But
Sexual Yacht Club. I don't think I've seen your name in chat before. That's a great username, though. Says, I haven't played it because it doesn't support Mac or Steam Deck, but my friends are all obsessed with it. A lot of people are. I see chatter about it on social media all the time.
There is an irony to the Marathon game not supporting Mac.
Yeah. Archivist42 on YouTube says, I wonder if Bungie would do well taking on the Killzone franchise, given that Guerrilla are tied up with Horizon.
I think Killzone is probably best left dead.
I think it's dead. Yeah, I think it was popular at the time because it was a PlayStation exclusive. Yeah. And at the time, like, fanboyism back then was hardcore. Mm-hmm. And PlayStation fans would play that game even though it wasn't as good as the other games.
They would migrate to the next Halo killer no matter what it was, and whether it made sense or not.
Yeah.
And it never did.
Yeah, Killzone 2's multiplayer, it felt different. Like, it felt really slow, and your character felt like he weighed like a ton. Mm-hmm. But there was something unique about it.
It made that little whistle chirp when you headshotted somebody. That was cool.
I forgot about that.
But Killzone is more or less. What does that get you?
Yeah.
Killzone doesn't carry that kind of weight.
No.
It's just.
I'd rather start a new IP from Bungie. I think. Surf Spider, thank you for Twitch Prime. Appreciate it. All right,
I think a new, more single player focused IP with that kind of gonzo art style, maybe not stolen from a deviant artist,
right.
would have been more appealing. In general.
It would have been way more appealing. For sure. And again, I think greenlighting that game was a huge mistake, and I could have told them it was a mistake back then, even though, to be fair, they did not know about Arc Raiders when they greenlit this game.
No, but I didn't need to know about Arc Raiders either to know that.
Once they found out about Arc Raiders, and Arc Raiders came out, and it was a smash hit, they should have immediately delayed the game at least a year. Immediately. But they didn't. So here we are with 1.2 million sales for Marathon. I hope it doesn't kill Bungie, because Bungie is still very skilled and could make great games. But PlayStation feels like PlayStation has no patience anymore. So it could happen. We'll see. All right, it's time to move on. Next, we're going to review Super Meat Boy 3D. Matt, are you a Super Meat Boy fan?
Not especially.
What do you not like about it?
It's not like I don't like it. It's just, it's fine.
Yeah. It's repetitive.
Very repetitive. It is kind of what it is. I mean, the super difficult platformer, like, it's just stream bait, basically. Really, I played the first one, and that was kind of good enough for me.
Yep. Well, Super Meat Boy is typically a 2D game, and it works very well in 2D because you can see exactly where you're going. And the other thing about this is that it is very challenging. The 2D games literally will make you pull your hair out. It starts easy, but it ramps up pretty quickly. And for me, by the time I got into the second hour or so of Super Meat Boy game, I just gave up. It is a trial and error experience. That's pretty much the entire crux of the game. Restarts and reloads are really fast, so you're not sitting there watching like loading times or anything. And that's one thing I'll say, like, they got that right in the 3D version of this. Like, they did figure out that there's like a handful of tenants of the Super Meat Boy franchise, and for the most part they tried to include them here to make it the difficulty not as off-putting as it could be. So load times are real fast in this. You can try over again really quickly in this, just like you can in the 2D games.
Yeah, really one of the keys of the original game is that there's no downtime.
Right.
You die a lot, but you're instantly back in it.
Yep, and they set this game up the same way, and I feel like if they didn't do it that way, that this game nobody would ever want to play this game, or the 2D ones for that matter. So they got that part of it right, but ultimately, this game is a lot of trial and error. Now, the B-roll you're seeing here, it's like the first 10 or 15 levels in the game, and I know that may seem like a lot, but as you'll watch this B-roll, you'll realize that a lot of the levels in this game, you complete in like 20 seconds. When you first start them, you have no idea. Once they get harder, you start at a level, you have no idea what to do. You're like, oh my God. So your first few attempts, you hardly make it anywhere. But by the time you figured it out, you actually can make it through that level in like 10 or 20 seconds usually. And that's kind of what this game is all about. Fiddling around, figuring out with his abilities. And he doesn't have many. In this game, he can jump, and he can dash, and he can infinite wall jump. And that's pretty much it. Those are the only abilities that you have in this. So basically, this game, and the 2D games for that matter, are just fiddling around with those very simple mechanics to try to figure out how to make it to the end of the stage. And you're timed, and like, the other thing that's cool about this is when you do finish the stage, it will show you all of your replays at once to kind of show you how you learned throughout the course of playing through the stage to get to the end of the stage, which is kind of cool, but also reminds you how many times you tried it before you actually got through it. So it's kind of a reminder of how difficult the game is while making the game easier at the same time. It's kind of bizarre. There is a plot in this, but it's the same plot that's in all of them. Basically, you play as an animated cube of meat called Super Meat Boy. He's trying to save his girlfriend, who happens to be made of bandages, I would add, from an evil fetus in a jar wearing a tux. I mean, that's pretty much the whole plot of the... So every stage, he's holding her at the finish. You get there, he takes her away. And you just rinse and repeat. And there's 5 main worlds in this. There's hundreds and hundreds of stages. But again, like I said, they're very short. Once you figure out how to get through them, they typically take 10 or 15 seconds to get through. What else? There's no combat, just like the 2D games. There's no combat in this at all. There's no enemies to fight. Like, they're there just to kill you. So they don't have blades or knives or something like that. And if you run into them, you basically die. So pretty much this whole game is like danger avoidance, trying to figure out how to get through obstacles without touching them. And that's what brings me with my biggest issue with this game. And it's the fact that you cannot move the camera. There is no manual camera movement in this game.
Which kind of means, like, why is it 3D?
Right. Like, what's the point of making it 3D? And At first, it's not a big deal because the levels are all kind of like side scroll. Eventually, though, you can see here, like the depth perception in this is a problem no matter what because you can't move the camera. So I died constantly just flying off the edge of the platforms. It's maddening. Like once you get to a stage where you get really stuck and you really feel like you need to look and you can't look, it drives you crazy. And so you just have to keep trying stuff and then hope that the camera accidentally like glitches and shows you like the geometry. It's madness. At least give me us the ability to like tilt it like 40 or 50 degrees to like look around a corner and see if there's a platform there or something you can run on or climb on. I just thought that was just almost like a death sentence for this game, not letting you control the camera in a challenging platformer where you need to know where every platform and wall is. So I thought that was one of the dumbest things I've seen in a game in a really long time. The other thing, too, is that just like the 2D games, the controls in this are very floaty. So when you jump, you can jump a long ways. And, like, he does this thing where he kind of hovers and floats for a while. In the 2D games, it's much easier to come to grips with that than it is here in the 3D space. Because, again, the camera doesn't help you. You can see in this level, they start putting stuff that, like, obstructs your view in the foreground. Again, I don't know what the logic was behind any of that stuff, but it doesn't make sense. And also, the floaty controls that work very, very well in the 2D version of this game does not work well in 3D at all. Eventually, you get to the point where you're going to see right here, you start to do a lot of wall runs, but like you can't go too high because there's it becomes just trial and error. You're like, you really start to abuse the wall jumps after a while because they're unlimited and you can do it forever. They almost become like a safety blanket. Like if you think you're going to fall, just start doing wall jumps and look around to try to figure out where you need to go. And I would also argue, too, that this is as challenging as the 2D games, but not because it is that challenging, because of the camera. It makes it that challenging. So I don't know if that was intentional. They're like, wait a minute. This is too easy, so we need to find some way to make it more... I don't know, but it's just such a curious design decision to go that way. So I had problems with it the entire game. Also, judging distances when you can't move the camera can be really difficult. Stuff like this can be difficult when you can't see like what's on the other side or how you're gripping the walls. It drove me pretty much bonkers. The one thing that I should mention about this, too, is that the original series creator, Edmund McMillan, left this development team. He no longer works on this series. Now he works on a game that people have requested that we review here on GameFace called Mugenics, that people seem to really like. And we haven't touched that yet, but we did play this. So maybe we made the mistake there, or we should have played Mugenics instead of this.
I have Mugenics, but I haven't played it yet.
You haven't touched it yet? Other thing I'll say, too, that they do soften in another way is that, like, you don't have to beat everything. Like, if there's, like, 15 levels that you have to play through, but, like, you don't have to beat them all to make it to the final boss. The boss fights in this are probably the highlight, I would say, because they do make you kind of put everything to use that you've learned throughout the course of playing the game, which is what boss fights are for, in my opinion. And they do a really good job of that, but otherwise, this game is $25. I'd maybe pay $15 for it. If you're a Super Meat Boy fan, and there are fans, and I know you're out there, I do feel like this is a pretty good representation of the 2D games in 3D. And since we're not getting a new 2D game, this is a pretty good facsimile. So if you're a fan of this franchise, I would probably recommend that you pick this up for $25 because it's been a minute since we had a new 2D one, and it doesn't sound like one's on the way anytime soon. So... there is some value in picking this up if you're fans of the franchise, but I think for everybody else who's just curious or just looking for a really challenging platformer, I would just stay far away. So, and again, I want to reiterate that I have not been a huge fan of this franchise in the past. So, that's not me. So I'm going to be a little bit more critical of some of this stuff that some of you guys may actually like about watching this footage. It's like, oh, that's Super Meat Boy. Like, why are you complaining about that? I get that. So for me personally, someone who is only tangentially interested in this franchise, morbidly interested in this franchise, I would take a pass on this. I would not be happy if I spent $25. Now, the good thing about this is it's on Game Pass this month. So if you want to spend $30, I would definitely not recommend spending $30 for this. But I will say that this is a good month for Game Pass. There's definitely $30 worth of value on the service this month of new stuff. So this is maybe a nice little bonus if you decide you want to subscribe for April or whatever. But I definitely would not subscribe just for this game on its own. So that's Super Meat Boy 3D. Any interest in playing that at all, Matt?
Nope.
Yeah. About the same amount that you would have had in a new Super Meat Boy game in 2D.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many Super Meat Boys there have been.
I think there's only
4?
3, I think. There was like a spin-off that wasn't exactly the same thing, I think.
2, and there was Forever or something like that.
Yeah. And then there was like a mobile thing that wasn't actually like Super Meat Boy, I think. So I think there was 4 total, now 5. So go back and play the old games. If what you saw there was like, that seems kind of cool. Like, I've never really played it's kind of like a Dark Souls of platforming. It's like Super Meat Boy. If that interests you, go back and play the 2D games. You can probably get them for like $5 instead of $25. And they're better than playing this stuff in 3D. So even though they did a pretty good job of bringing this stuff over to 3D. Let's take a quick look at chat, see if anyone has any questions. Retro Modern Gamer says, a static camera that follows you reminds me of God of War camera. I just bought this game since it's on sale on Steam. I'm sorry, Retro Modern Gamer. Big Smoke 82 says, this reminds me of when 2D games were making the transition to 3D on the PS1 and N64 when it just doesn't work. That's a good point, Big Smoke. Yeah, that's what it's like. Mm-hmm. Because there was that struggle bus period on N64 and PlayStation 1 where you saw all these developers that made these 2D platformers try to make 3D platformers, and most of them were just abysmal. Earthworm Jim 3D. Perfect example of that. So I hear you. Yeah. Corey Film, thank you for Twitch Prime. That's awesome. Let's actually bring up chat here very quickly. I won't spend too much time on this, but I do want to read your quotes here. So, Sotnist. I bought it on PS5, but I probably should have done a month of Game Pass because, replace Vampire Crawler, etc. this month too. Yep. Mm-hmm. Vincent says, are there any secrets to find in the levels? There are. There's one secret in every level, and then there are ultimately like dark versions of each stage, but I'm good on that one. Like, they're already hard enough without the dark version. But again, if you really want to get a challenge, you'll find it in this game for sure. Retro Modern Gamer says, Super Meat Boy 2D is $1 and $20 on Steam. What does that mean? Is $1 and $20? $1 and 20 cents? Is that what he's saying?
Read the next line.
$1.20. Wow. That's really cheap, and I definitely recommend you go do that instead of playing Super Meat Boy 3D, unless, of course, as I said, you want to play it on Game Pass or something. Then it makes more sense. Let's see if there's any more before we move on here. It doesn't look like it. I think it's going for Super Mario 3D World. Yeah, I mean, you can move the camera a little bit in Super Mario 3D World, and it was just a better game in general because even when you couldn't move the camera, Nintendo knew it, and they would just make sure that they showed you the stuff that you needed to see. They don't do that in this game. It's not intelligently. The level design is not intelligent like that. Ryan thank you for Twitch Prime, man. That's awesome. Appreciate it. Okay, it's time to move on. Next up, we're going to talk about a bunch of various Switch 2 stuff. There's been some things happening on Switch 2 that we haven't talked about on the show, and I've rounded them all up into one topic. We want to go through them very quickly. The first thing, Matt, that I'm going to bring up is that Nintendo is the first publisher to make digital versions of its games cheaper. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book will sell for $70 physical and $60 digital. Now,
I guess they heard me.
They may have. Now, here's the first thing I'll say about this, Matt, is that I'm still wondering if they would have sold this Yoshi game for $70. Because Yoshi's games usually are $60. Mm-hmm. Period. For both physical and digital. So Nintendo is saying that no. It was going to be $70 all along. So if you buy the digital version, you're saving $10. You never would have got the digital version for that price. But
I think it's more that you basically have to charge $70 to make any kind of profit off of
the
physical item anymore.
That's what I think too. And I also think that they had no intention of charging $70 for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book.
And in general, like there's always been the correct argument that because you don't have the overhead of producing a physical good,
shipping,
digital should be cheaper. But Walmart and the brick and mortar retailers would always strong arm that into not being true because they're like, well, why would anyone buy them from us?
Yep.
And funny thing is, like, people still would buy. I mean, there were certainly at the time enough people who believed in having disc copies of everything that they still would have. Nowadays, maybe that's more.
Yeah.
But nowadays, the retailers do not have that kind of a chokehold on everything. And I think Nintendo, somebody's got to finally pioneer that. Someone's going to be like, you know what? The digital copy of this thing's $50.
Yeah.
Because that's how much it costs us. That we're going to make the same money from that
as
we will from the physical version.
Yeah.
And we sell so much more of the digital version now that's how the revenue model works that way. Nintendo may be the only ones who can do that because Nintendo is not quite as dedicated to the eternal growth myth as every other corporation in the world of games. But I could see that happening. I could see like them, maybe Capcom would do it. But that might be one of the only remaining incentives you will end up with in the coming years. As people get less and less money to spend on these things.
Yeah, to me, this announcement was more Nintendo saying that, like, hey, our B-tier franchises like Kirby and Yoshi, those are $70 now. Like, they used to be 60, now they're $70, but you can still get the digital version for the old 60
I think the physical
price.
versions are just, like, I think that's just with tariffs and part costs, I think that's just what they have to charge now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, Nintendo's found a good way to spin it by saying we're the first ones to charge less for digital, which is true.
Yeah, that is definitely the angle that they should be taking on it.
And do you think other publishers will follow suit and start doing this as well?
Probably not.
Yep. I don't think any will. Because that's the thing. It's like Nintendo is...
I think it would only happen... I don't think it would be happening with this game. It would only happen if Nintendo did it with, like, the next Mario.
Yeah.
And the next Mario sold obscene amounts, and the ratio of digital, and only Nintendo would know this, but digital to physical is like digital outstrips the expected ratio to like a 2-to-1.
Yeah.
And because at that point, even though you're kind of screwing, you're freezing out the retail channels, you're making more money.
Yeah.
If you can prove that $10 or $20 difference is the difference between making this much and making like an extra 10% over that, then you might see a wider adoption of it. But that would require, one, that to happen with a major title, which I don't know if Nintendo would be willing to do that, and two, Nintendo to disclose those actual numbers publicly, which they don't do. So I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch the other publishers, but I feel like not just the publishers, I feel like the public and consumers do this too. They view Nintendo under a different lens. And it allows publishers to say, oh, Nintendo, those silly Nintendo kids, they do crazy stuff over there, but they're their own market. And it can be very convenient at times for PlayStation to say, we don't compete with Nintendo, because if they admitted that they're competing against them, then they have to admit that they're getting their butts kicked. So I feel like publishers have looked at Nintendo as this anomaly, and I think players and consumers do to a certain extent as well, where they're like, Nintendo does its own thing, and because it does something doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen everywhere else. And I would argue that PlayStation fans or fanboys don't want PlayStation to take Nintendo's ideas, even if it would help them and get their games for $10 cheaper. Like, I really feel like that's where they're at. So, I do feel like this isn't as positive as it appears. I think Nintendo was smart to spin it this way, but bottom line is we're still going to get digital versions of games cheaper, and that's a win no matter what. So I'm glad Nintendo did it. At least it will make other publishers think about it.
I hope they do it with Fire Emblem.
Right. Yeah, where you get the physical version for $70 and then get the digital for $60.
I hope they do it with a game that I want, basically.
Or Fire Emblem's $80 and the digital $70. Like, I mean, that stuff can happen too. Like, now all of a sudden it isn't just Zelda and Mario that's $80 or Mario Kart. Now it's a bunch of other games are $80 as well. Like, again, Nintendo did a good job with the messaging on this for sure. Like, it has definitely managed to make people think that, wow, I'm saving $10 on the digital version of Nintendo games now.
Oh no, I still got a Yoshi game.
Actually, that Yoshi game looks kind of cool. That second trailer that they put out for it looks kind of cool. Did you see the bubble stuff that they were showing?
Yeah.
Like, there's some pretty interesting stuff in there. We'll see.
The only thing in there that I really liked is I liked that when he licks the snail and the snail stands straight up as a rod with his like horrible face. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what I'd feel. I think I'd do that if Yoshi did that to me too.
Yep. Another Nintendo story from the past week. Nintendo has slowed down production of the Switch 2. It says that it's the result of not hitting its sales targets over the holiday season. And it's just like, why are we going to produce these things? I think more likely it's like, why would we produce these units that we don't need when right now they are as expensive as they will ever be? Because I'm sure Nintendo is doing the same thing we're doing right now. They're like, man, there are elections in November. And
you just got to batten down the hatches and hope that like things get better in the next year.
Yeah. And I think that's what Nintendo's doing. I think it's
probably,
just like...
It's probably the right call.
It's probably
if they believe they have enough stock already to ride out the rest of the year,
Yep.
Which sounds like they do.
Because they're not going to have a Mario or a Zelda till the end of the year. So by that time, by November's rolled around, hopefully the tariffs should have gone away already because they were deemed illegal by the Supreme Court. But this administration doesn't follow the law. So here we are. So by November, though, hopefully Congress flips and we can get rid of the tariffs for real. And hopefully then, I don't know. But Nintendo Switch 2 not selling as well as Nintendo had hoped over the holiday season. What do you say about that?
I mean, it doesn't surprise. I don't think anything sold as well as anybody hoped over the holiday season in anything.
Yep.
People just don't have that much money anymore.
Yeah, it's the truth. So
people got to buy food.
Yeah.
So
or gas.
Pay their car payments. Pay their
gas.
The life necessity cost increases on all that is insane.
It is. Everything is just crazy expensive. And like everywhere at my living situation, everything just goes up constantly.
Just up and up and up.
Yeah. But wages don't go up. So we're all just like trying to live our lives with the same amount of money, but we have to spend way more. So it's really tough. But it's tough on Nintendo too. So it had to slow down production. I don't think it will affect anything in the long run. My guess is they probably still have millions and millions sitting in warehouses somewhere, and they'll be fine. But yeah. Bottom line is, Switch 2 is not selling as well as Nintendo anticipated, even though it's still setting sales records. It still is like the fastest selling console ever, the best selling console ever, the best Nintendo selling console ever. Like,
it's not like people won't go out of their way if it's something that they really want. You know, like Pocopia sold very well. Yeah. Like if it's something they're interested, you know, if it's a unique and valuable offering, people will find the money for it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to find the money for Yoshi.
I don't know either. And then the final story for Switch 2 updates is that as of right now, I believe, there is a brand new Switch 2 bundle on the market. So, it's not even really a bundle. It's this weird convoluted thing where if you buy a Switch 2 and you buy the Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 package, you get $20 off. So you basically spend, I think that is $50 for that. So you get it for $30 instead of $50. I don't know if that's going to move the needle for Nintendo. It also ends.
I mean, it's better inclusion than Mario Kart World, I would argue.
You think so? Getting Mario Kart World for free?
Mario Kart World isn't free. It's an extra $50.
It's $50, yeah. But you save $30.
You save $30
yeah.
on it, yeah. So instead you save $30 on Mario Galaxy 2, which are two of the best games ever made. So I would.
But they're old.
They are, but you haven't played them in like 15 years.
Yeah.
So.
And I'll admit, I started playing them again. I had forgotten a lot about them.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, I might actually play this again. So anyway, that's the latest on Switch 2. Also, that bundle deal, PSA for you guys, only goes until May 9th. So if that sounds enticing to you, you only have a brief window here to work up that deal. And that's obviously all just because of the film. So my guess is Nintendo, we asked that question earlier, like, how long will the movie do well? It seems that it's till May 9th, Matt, because that's the date that Nintendo picked.
I mean, that would be the 6-week run. So, yeah, that would.
That's funny. Yep, so there you go. So, anyway, Nintendo updates, lower prices for digital games, Switch 2 production slowing down because they didn't sell as much over the holidays.
So then they can put some kind of coupon in the Blu-ray release, probably.
Oh, right. That's true, actually. That would be a good idea in the Blu-ray release to put like a 25 off the game in there or something like that. That'd be a good idea. We'll see if Nintendo does it. All right.
Might actually get me to buy those.
Yeah, that's true. They're good. Like, they did a good job on them. They're
sure.
not like the other package they put out for Switch 1, where they just use like some knockoff emulator to run the games. They actually look and play really, really well.
$50 is just a little steep for that.
I agree. Yep. Even for 2 games that are that good, for sure. All right. Next up, we're going to review Legacy of Kain Ascendance. Matt, I did not get to play this, but you did. And I just really have one question. Does it end the franchise?
No.
No.
It's not even because the Defiance cliffhanger is still there. So this does not address any of that.
Oh, really?
This is a weird side story that they shoved into the main continuity of the Legacy of Kain story.
Oh.
So this is
where does it fall in the timeline?
Everywhere.
Oh.
Because you're time traveling.
Oh. Well, that explains it.
So that is what the Alalith, that's her name. I can never remember her name. So this is she's a vampire, and she is Raziel's sister, who has never been mentioned before. And she is out for revenge against Raziel because her lover Matthias was turned into a vampire by, I think, Janos Audrin, who was like the big bad vampire at the time Kain became a vampire back in the early days of the franchise. And he had Raziel, who was a Seraphan warrior at the time when he was still alive, found him, Matthias, sucking her blood, and so he cut her hand off because he was sucking it from her hand, and to try and save her, and killed Matthias, and she became a vampire anyway, and now blames him for killing Matthias and wants revenge on him. However, because Raziel, as people who've played the series know, Raziel becomes, after he's killed as a Seraphan, he becomes a vampire who serves Kain, and then he grows wings, and Kain punishes him for this by killing him, but then he gets resurrected by the Elder God as the Wraith version of Raziel that we play as in Soul Reaver.
Yep.
So because that all has to happen for about 3 other characters' plans to come to fruition, Mobius, the Time Streamer, who's the guardian of time throughout the franchise, basically curses her and sends her randomly hurling through time every few minutes, so she can't actually get anything done.
That's awful.
And so
nightmare.
she's teamed up with this old guy who was like a sorcerer who made a deal or made something with a demon that separated his soul from his humanity. So his human side lives in hell while his demon side can contact her. And so he's trying to hold back the Mobius's curse so she can remain in time periods long enough to get done what she's trying to do, which is kill her brother. And he never quite makes it, so at the end of every level you almost do what you're trying to do, and he's like, I can't do it anymore, and she's like, no, and you get sucked into another time zone. And she ends up basically trying to team up with Kain in the past before all of this happens, and she's like the one who tells him where the Seraphan tomb is, because he raises all the high level Seraphan warriors to be his vampire servants, and they're the guys you fight in Soul Reaver, and there's a big horrible revelation that like he turned his worst enemies into his loyal servants, and it's like an irony sort of thing. Early on, there's a boss fight where you play as human Raziel fighting Wraith Raziel, and it's supposed to be like a big thing.
It sounds insane for a 2D game.
And so basically, this is a completely inconsequential story they shove sideways into the Legacy of Kain timeline that's very carefully designed to not really alter anything about what actually happened, because like I said, her existence is not known really in the main timeline, and Raziel doesn't even know she's still around when she shows up in this level, because other characters in the series have very careful. And you also notice that she cuts the Seraphan's hands off when she kills one, as a reference to her getting her hand cut off. And if you see her portrait, her hand looks like Raziel's like claw hand, because it's been regrown through like Hilden methods, which are the vampire race from Blood Omen 2. So there's a lot of references to things. None of it really adds up to anything. You do play as her and Raziel and Kain. There's a very annoying mechanic. So don't take this to mean it looks like it's a Metroidvania. It is not. It is just a side-scrolling action game.
Yeah, it's just linear.
You'll notice her life bar has that little like band around the test tube there. That's the maximum of her life as you start with, and then you can get it higher by drinking blood. But the vampire characters in this game, their life constantly drains, and you have to constantly drink blood. She gets wings at a certain point, so she also has, I guess, wings are just sort of the family trait with Raziel and her. Also, the vampires get hurt if they touch fire, which like just walk around it, like so you're constantly burning on fire. So the problem with the draining health is if you kill all the enemies and you ended up getting hit by like an environmental damage, and you need to get to the next checkpoint, like you might just not have enough life to get to the next checkpoint. You just fall over and have to do it
just
again.
Dwindles down.
Yeah, and it's incredibly annoying. There are
the combat in this game I thought was annoying.
It's not very good
because you just like your sword, you just stick it out.
You stick it out, and the hitbox is very. It's not very
touchy.
Reliable.
Yeah.
Again, it looks like a Castlevania game, but no Castlevania game has ever played this sloppy.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of not very interesting.
It's really not. It got repetitive
it's
so
this
fast.
Over and over. And again, because you constantly have like as the vampires, you have to knock them down and then suck their blood to stay alive. With Raziel Human, you had to knock the vampires down and set them on fire so they don't get back up. So you can't just kill stuff and move. You have to kill stuff and then hit the Y button do something to them to either survive or not let them get back up. And it's just stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. The floating and the flapping of the wings looks like it should be fun. It is not. It is very unreliable. That dive kick is very unreliable.
Yeah, it's hard to get it to
like, I still haven't quite figured out what causes it to trigger when, like, the targeting on it.
Right.
Kain is kind of fun to play as, but that's mainly because he's so strong that he's very hard to... He's basically just... These guys are fucking annoying. Like, it's...
I had no fun with this game at all.
It's not fun. The good news is it's short. It's like 4 hours long.
Oh, really?
I would say...
I only played an hour, so I played a quarter of it.
You're pretty far into it at that point. Because the later chapters are shorter.
Oh, okay.
They did get the original voice cast back. Michael Bell is back as Raziel, and Simon Templeman is back as Kain. The other voice performances are fine, I would argue. They are... So one slight issue is that Michael Bell sounds really old in this. Mm-hmm. Doesn't sound like Raziel anymore.
No, I agree. Really. Yeah.
And look, the man's 87.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I'm surprised they hired him, honestly.
Well, it's because they had to. I wonder if Templeman would only come back if he came back too.
Maybe.
Because I imagine that they would
their
probably
team.
Their team. Like
Yeah.
them playing off each other is half the appeal of the reunion here. The one thing I will say that even though he does sound different, him and Bell and Templeman are just giving a master class in how a voice actor elevates mediocre writing in this game. Like like as soon as you get to Kain, everything Simon Templeman says in this game is fascinating.
Yeah,
like he just makes
the dumbest stuff.
He just makes this like turgid,
matter.
weird ass dialogue sing in a way that no one else in the game except Michael Bell can make it do. And it's like, in that sense, it's kind of like. Is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like the scene where he resurrects the Seraphim and makes them his vampire slaves is the best scene in the game.
Yeah.
Entirely because Simon Templeman has basically unleashed his Kain for the first time in like 20 years.
Right. Yeah.
And you can tell. Now, Simon Templeman does still sound like himself.
Yep.
And it's like no time has passed at all. And you can hear these little moments where like, you know, there's because it's all text and but it's like you see where he just skips that period. He doesn't. He makes that one sentence, two sentences in a one sentence, and he rushes through the beginning and then ends it really quiet. And you're like, oh, that's a genius way to read that line.
That's good voice work.
And these two are just beyond almost anyone we have working today in terms of just reading something off a page.
But
so
I do
good.
think that might be the only redeeming factor.
It really is the only reason to play this. If you loved Michael Bell and Simon Templeman as these characters, it is probably worth playing through this game to hear them do these characters again. Everything else in this game is kind of trash.
I agree.
Even down to like, I like pixel art stuff. I really enjoy sort of the retro 2D look, and most of the time when you see games do that, it's like a very stylistic choice because that's how they're presenting this. I very much believe that in this game it's a budgetary limitation.
It may be.
Because I'll tell you this, outside of Kain and Raziel, because he's blue, I have no idea who any of these characters are supposed to be. Like, they're not high enough resolution to tell who they are. I have no idea that's supposed to be Raziel.
It's not even the resolution. It's the pixel art.
Pixel art. None of it
Look
works.
at that. What is that?
It's not like SNES level pixel art. It's not like because there's more detail in Super Nintendo level pixel art. This is something else.
Who made this? Do you know?
Oh, I can't. It's Bit
Bureau,
Bit or Bitbop or something. Bitbop or something. It's some weird little.
So they didn't have some really good 2D developer handle it.
I don't know who they are. They also don't really seem to understand how parry mechanics are supposed to work.
Yeah. I thought the combat in this entire thing was just garbage.
It's awful. There's basically one key way to like make sure you kill each enemy type every time, and once you learn it, you just have to do that every time over and over again. It's incredibly dull.
Yeah. I was pretty disappointed in this.
I
agree with you. I don't think it kills the franchise, but it doesn't do it any favors.
The funny thing is, you got Legacy of Kain fans like freaking out about this game, like screaming about how it's like disrespectful and doesn't it ruins everything, and like we as the fandom declare it non-canon, and I'm just like, guys,
Who gave you that license?
You can just ignore the game you don't like. Like that's what I do with Blood Omen 2, because Blood Omen 2 also sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Oh, and there's like weird moments. So this is cool. Like this scene is cool. So like when you first meet Ariel, the guardian of the pillars, the ghost lady from the original games, you basically Lalith basically gets tested on like history to prove to Kain. Like that's Mobius. I would have no idea that's Mobius or that sprite is supposed to be Janos Audrin or any of these characters that I actually know.
You can't tell.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
So she goes through all of the and that scene where Kain was using the Soul Reaver to cut his arm is the same thing. They cut to like terrible low quality 3D polygon environments with like terrible 3D models of the characters. And like the first time they do it, like Ariel goes past all the pillars and quizzes you on what each pillar's name is. And I'm like, and you get an achievement if you get them all right. And I did get them all right because I don't know the Guardians of the Pillars. I don't remember any of that, but I do remember the names of the pillars. So it's multiple choice, and I would just know that, well, there's a pillar of conflict, but there's no pillar of hate or struggle. So I guess that's what that is. And like and it's just like, so you just sort of have to like sit through this like lore dump, which I guess is good review considering how long it's been, but at the same time, so much of this just doesn't really tie in with what the original games did. That what's the point?
The game wasn't interesting. The combat was
there's nothing here. And again, I don't think everything has to be some kind of conspiracy about the developers not respecting like sometimes like people just make a bad thing.
Sometimes games are just bad.
Sometimes it's just not very good.
It really just happens sometimes.
That's all it is, and that's fine. And it's woke. Went woke. I'm like,
what?
Because it's a girl. Because she's a girl. And I'm like, this would not be any better if she was Raziel's brother that had never been mentioned before
either. What difference does
either.
it make? The combat sucks.
Because they hate women.
Just what the hell? Maybe that's why they can't find women, because they hate women.
It is the male loneliness epidemic is pretty much a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yes,
hilarious. So anyway, that's I would steer clear away from that game. Like even if you're a big fan, like I would not recommend somebody.
Yeah, I mean it is really good to hear Simon Templeman and Michael Bell doing these characters again.
I would just go watch it on YouTube.
But watch it on YouTube. Yeah. Wait for it to be $5. It's not fun to play. Like I was struggling through.
I struggled
the boring
with the
gameplay
first, like,
to get to the next cutscene.
I was like, I don't want to play this anymore. Like, it is not good. I was really disappointed by that game.
And it could be like if all you did was clone Castlevania gameplay, this would be fine.
Yeah.
You just like look at Symphony of the Night and do that.
I think you're finding it's not as easy as you think.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
definitely not.
It takes a lot of work.
There's a reason non-Bungie shooters don't feel like Bungie shooters.
That's true.
And it's not because they don't want them to feel like Bungie shooters.
That's true. That's a good point.
Because it is a very difficult thing to do.
Yep. Well, there you go. That's 2 thumbs down for Legacy of Kain Ascendance.
That's the thing is like why, like a bad game is not a fucking personal insult to you as a fan of the franchise. Making things is hard, and sometimes it doesn't work out.
Really, I've made stuff that wasn't good. Like,
even when everyone's trying to make it the best they can, it doesn't work out.
Yeah, not everything.
Believe
works.
me, I worked at G4.
We learned that lesson.
Let me tell you.
All right, let's move on. Next, we're going to talk about State of Decay 3, a game I thought might be canceled, honestly, Matt. I was really starting to wonder.
I was kind of waiting for it. I mean,
I was
especially with all the trouble that developer was having.
Yeah, I was like, that's probably going to be the next Xbox game that's canceled, but no, it is not canceled. However, we did learn some interesting things about State of Decay 3. And the first one is that the debut trailer that they put out like 6 years ago now was all fake.
I mean, didn't we kind of...
I think we guessed that. Yes.
Like this was clearly not. This is some kind of proof of concept thing. Is clearly this thing is not any relation to the game.
Undead Labs, the developer, said that when this trailer was released, the game was on a Word doc. They had not done anything when they put this trailer out. How do you feel?
So who made it?
Did they Blur. They even said that Blur made it.
Blur does really good work.
They do.
That's for sure.
How do you feel about this, Matt? Showing a game knowing that it's fake. And look, I know this happens. People just don't tell us, like Undead Labs. So I do appreciate their candor.
Or like Anthem.
Right.
Where the team found out what the game was going to be from the E3 presentation.
Right, yeah. Similar thing. Like, how do you feel about this? I mean, it is manipulating the audience for sure. Yeah, because here's the other thing,
all
Matt,
advertising is that.
He also shared that there will be no zombie animals in the game, which was what this whole trailer was about.
The whole trailer is hunting the zombie deer.
Yeah, to show you, hey, there's this new gameplay element in State of Decay 3 you're going to have to deal with, like zombie animals. Okay, that changes everything. But nope, it is not in the game. So how do you feel about? I mean, that is definitely manipulation.
Care.
Yeah.
No, it's so long. It's no different to me than like the flowing ghost curtains aren't in Resident Evil 4. Like stuff changes. from early development and early idea, or pre-development in this case, I guess.
Here's the first footage of the game, by the way.
I just don't. I mean, I don't.
It looks exactly like
it does look exactly like the other games. Yeah. I mean, again, that's kind of all it needs to be.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't really another series like this one. Like,
I mean, I hope it runs like over 30 frames a second.
It would be nice if it worked at launch, which would be a change for this. That would be the biggest upgrade for State of Decay 3, is that it just runs out of the box.
Yeah.
But I don't really. I mean, early stuff. I don't think you should show stuff that early, because it just puts you in situations like this.
Right.
Not that it ruins anything for me. It's just like why would you do that until you're ready? And I know it probably wasn't their decision.
Right.
It was Microsoft or whatever. You know, there was like, we want to show that we got all this stuff coming. So it's not like I blame Undead Labs for that. And Blur did a really good job.
Yeah, the trailer was great.
I'm sure they were just told.
That's kind of part of the problem. Is the trailer was
you
good.
do stuff that early and stuff changes.
Yeah,
that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So here we are.
It's I mean,
I really like State of Decay 2.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun like 2 weeks after it launched when they started fixing some of the bugs.
Yeah, it still is. You know, it's a very different game now. It works much better. I tried to play it like last summer, I think, and I had to go through a whole thing where I had to like load my old save and update it on Xbox and load it there to get it in the cloud, so it would then load my save properly on the PC version, and then it loaded up, and I had no idea what was happening. I had to start over anyway. But like, there is no other game like this.
This franchise is unique. It is an open world zombie survival game where you have like your own hideout that you build up over time, and you recruit people to defend your homestead. And
like,
zombies.
it's almost like it gives me the same. It's not an exact correct comparison, but it is the closest I can get to feeling like I'm playing an action-based XCOM.
Yeah.
Like the base building and the characters and the permadeath and the resource management and all that, and plus like the difficulty of it, like it makes me think of XCOM if XCOM was a shooter. Was a Twitch shooter and a stealth game. And there is no other experience like it.
Really. There really isn't. There's no zombie game like it. It is completely unique, but it does almost always launch completely broken. Yeah. You have to wait like a month before it's actually like playable.
By always, we mean twice.
Right.
Years and years and years ago.
It was a long time ago. And they announced this game a long time ago. And it does not, there's a beta or an alpha coming up like in the next couple months.
Maybe we'll see this near the end of 2028.
You think so? You think it'll be that long?
Probably. Well, I guess it depends if you want it to work out of the box or not. Maybe you get it late next year if you're okay with the usual State of Decay launch.
That's my guess. Next holiday season, and you're right, it'll be a mess, just like the last two have been at launch. They're still fun, even when they're broken at first.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's just because the game is so freeform that a lot of these things you're not going to catch until it makes contact with the enemy, which is to say the player base. Like, like until you have millions of people playing this simultaneously, you're not going to find some of these edge cases that come up.
Yeah.
But I do think there should have been a way to know that my car was going to keep disappearing every time I parked it. That feels like something that would have come up in testing.
Well, it's a good thing they're having that alpha then, Matt, so they can fix all this stuff. But the bottom line is, like, look, this is shady that they did this, that they talked about this big feature that ended up not being in the game, and they announced it and acted like it was a real thing when it wasn't, and it wasn't going to be for a long time.
I'm sure it was in the Word document.
Right.
I don't think the animal zombies came out of nowhere.
They had the ending in the Word document.
I'm sure at some point it was just sort of like, oh, well, this isn't working, so we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you this much, I think trying to get a bead on zombie wolves with that series is like gameplay is going to be fucking annoying.
It will be.
I don't think it probably wasn't fun.
You're probably right. They're like, this aiming sucks. We can't shoot anything. Yeah. So, but here's the thing: is like this is
you
happening.
And I also have the thing about as soon as you have me not fighting humanoid monsters anymore, it changes the equation and it's a little less interesting.
I agree. Yeah, I feel that way.
That even happens in that Legacy of Kain game. At one point, you start fighting like wolves and things, and also I don't think you probably got that far. A few levels in, you play a whole level in silhouette.
I didn't.
It's all black. It's like lit in the back and everything.
I did get to that.
Black. And like they introduced the wolf enemies in that, and you're like, I don't know how to fight these yet, and I can't fucking see anything. Like they want you to memorize the silhouettes of the animations to be able to parry anymore. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like it's a cool visual, but it's terrible gameplay.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Here's the thing about this though, is that this is happening. It'll happen tomorrow, and it happened last week and the week before. Publishers are always showing you trailers for stuff that aren't finished. It hasn't even started yet. The difference is we found out about this one, and Undead Labs was honest about it. So I don't
I mean,
want to.
we all remember Killzone 3.
Right. Like, I don't want to hold their feet to the fire that much.
I'm sure it wasn't their choice.
Yeah, because it's
That was a
not that out of the ordinary.
That was a corporate decision.
Yeah, for sure. They're just being honest about it. With most
Undead
of the time,
Labs
it's
did not hire Blur Studios,
No.
I assure you.
Definitely did not. Because that trailer cost probably like $300, $400K.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway.
Also, go back and watch Blur's nice Star Wars: The Old Republic stuff again, because that is still one of the best Star Wars movies ever made.
They're great. Blur is great.
All those things are great.
Yep. So
I cannot believe that Lucasfilm did not contract them to make a CG Star Wars movie at some point.
Yeah.
Like, it seems such a no-brainer.
It really does. The good news, ultimately, though, is State of Decay 3 isn't canceled. Because I really was starting to think that it was canceled, or it was about to be canceled, because
It feels like it's been on the edge for a while.
we also know the history with this franchise, that it launches busted and broken and buggy, and so
And
it's
we know
like...
the history with this developer. It feels like if you were going to shut anybody down, it feels like you shut the big problem over there
So it's
down.
like, if I'm sitting there, and I'm like, Perfect Dark by Crystal Dynamics, or another State of Decay game, I'm probably picking Perfect Dark.
Like, the fact that Undead Labs is still open
I know.
and Blue Point is gone is insane.
It really is insane. It just shows you things aren't fair.
Yeah, nothing's fair. It doesn't matter how well you perform. Never forget, the company is not your friend.
Yeah. Yep.
It does not matter how well you perform for them. You are a number on a sheet for them.
Yep. But the good news is, it does look like it is coming still. So Matt thinks 2028. I think probably late 2027, but broken. And that's our predictions for State of Decay 3. All right, up next. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Amazon is working on a Mass Effect TV show right now, and it's been in production for a while. We haven't heard a lot of updates from it, but we finally got one this week, and I don't know if it's one that people are going to be excited about. So basically, Amazon told the showrunner working on the show, you need to go to your writers and you need to have them rewrite this show. And you need to make sure that people who are non-gamers will like the show. Because it sounds like the writers just wrote, like, for us.
Well, I saw this, and I know, like, Jonah Nolan is working on this. A lot of Fallout show people. I have no idea what this means. Because Mass Effect is already a movie.
It is.
Like, there is, like, what are you talking about, gamer? Like, what about Mass Effect? You could condense the script of Mass Effect 1 into a 3-hour film, and you wouldn't really need to change anything.
I think my guess is there's probably a lot of inside jokes. There were references to things that dude executive at Amazon did not know what they were talking about and was just like, yo, you made this for people that are not me, and you need to make this for people that are me.
I have no idea what that would be.
Again,
it
could just be references that he didn't get,
but
or she
references
didn't get.
to what?
To a ship, a person, a place, a thing that happened in the game.
But again,
something that's popular about the game.
That's too vague. I don't know what. I have no idea what this could be. Like, and especially because these are the same people that adapted Fallout to TV, and they got that balance exactly right.
Yeah.
Again, this is the man who gave us Westworld, which is essentially a BioWare RPG as a TV series. Sit the fuck down and let the guy work. Like,
I just met somebody who worked on Westworld last week. And they said it was a nightmare.
I'm sure. Very complicated.
Yeah, they just said the production team and the managers and the lead producers were just jerks or whatever.
Yeah, I really have no idea what this means.
Yeah.
My only guess, because it's Amazon, is that someone, maybe Bezos, maybe someone who answers to him, they want it to be more like The Expanse, which has a lot more hard sci-fi to it, because Mass Effect is space opera.
Yeah.
So here's my nightmare scenario: is when they say non-gamers, they mean they want them to take the Mass Effect out of it. They want them to take the magic out of it, like the Mass Effect ability, like the powers.
Oh, gotcha.
They think that's the game part.
Oh, and that would be.
This is just me. This is me using my network notes brain, right? And because remember, Amazon took on The Expanse because Jeff Bezos wanted to see the end of the series.
Right. And he's like, I'm rich enough to bankroll it.
And if they bankrolled this because they thought it was going to be another Expanse, they didn't understand what Mass Effect is, because Mass Effect is magical space opera.
Yeah.
And intended to be. It's supposed to be a Star Wars style thing. I mean, the Mass Effect is complete physics nonsense, but it's how the whole thing works.
Right.
It's a little mystical to some degree.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's the big,
I like it.
It's the big, like, sort of like leap you have to take for suspension of disbelief in this universe, and it works. It works very well. It works so well, they named the franchise after it.
Yep.
And so that would be my guess, is that they have like superpowers, that's too gamey. Like, you have to make them like the Expanse guys that have to worry about gravity and stuff.
I wonder, too, if the budget might be a consideration here, where they're like, you know what, every episode's going to have tons of CG work.
If they're committed to making 5 seasons of Rings of Power, the budget is not an issue for Amazon.
That's a good point.
I don't think so.
That's funny.
And again, this would not be the first time an adaptation of something popular has been sort of like hamstrung by Amazon, because much as I hate the Wheel of Time books, I would argue that they did a similar thing to the Wheel of Time series, where like at a certain point you don't really recognize it as a fan of the books anymore, and I don't think you're going to pull in enough people who don't know the books as fans, which they did. I know several people who really like that show and had never read the books, but I don't think that's going to get you to the critical mass you need to sustain a show that's going to go for like, maybe we would adapt the whole Wheel of Time series. That's like going to be like a 15 season show.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's something that's happening here. But that would be the only thing I can think of in terms of if I'm trying to make myself like a dumbass executive shithead, and like I see the treatment for this, and my response is it's too video gamey. The only thing I can think of is the fact that people are basically doing force pushes.
Right. Yeah.
And they think that's the video game.
Maybe.
And they expect it an Expanse.
I hope not. I hope it really is. They're just like, what's a Citadel? They're like,
but again,
this for
that's
me.
that doesn't make any sense as an answer to that, because the Citadel is exactly what it's explained to be. I mean, you know what the Citadel is when you play the game either until they explain it. Like, that's just storytelling.
But it could be that they didn't explain it in the script, and they're just assuming that the people knew what it was.
I don't believe
and he's
that.
Like, wait a minute, like, I've never played Mass Effect. I don't know what that is.
I don't believe that for 1 second. Not
really?
For 1 second. Because how in the world do you tell the story of Mass Effect and not have a thing where someone is introduced to the Citadel?
No,
like,
I'm saying it would be in there. But from the perspective of this exec, he's like, you mentioned the Citadel, like, I know what it is. I don't know what it is. So you need to go back, and you need to have a scene that shows what the Citadel is.
No. There is a scene that shows what the Citadel is. I will bet cash money there is.
Well, there probably is now.
No, there was. I guarantee. Because Jonah Nolan wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
He's one of the best writers in entertainment.
Well, then what do you think it is?
I mean, I think it's exactly what I said. They are trying. They thought it was going to be like a more hard sci-fi foundation Expanse
like more realistic
thing, and it came out as Star Wars, and they don't want force powers in it. I think
why would they not want that?
Because they think it's video gamey. Because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
I don't know.
No
matter what, this is weird.
I do not for 1 second believe any of the things you're saying about that are in a Jonah Nolan script treatment. He is too good a storyteller to not have a scene where you introduce the audience to the Citadel. Like that, or something like that.
What if he just doesn't know Mass Effect, but he knew Fallout?
He knew Mass Effect when I talked to him in 2007.
Okay.
He is a BioWare game fan.
Oh, okay.
He absolutely knows Mass Effect.
Oh, then I would agree with you then. He would definitely...
Jonah Nolan... when I say Westworld is a BioWare game, because Jonah Nolan very intentionally, and he said this out loud, like, he based a lot of Westworld structure on BioWare RPGs. Like, he based it on Mass Effect and Dragon Age. Like, he was thinking of those games when he show ran that.
Interesting.
This is a man who understands narrative video games and loves narrative video. That's why Fallout's so good, because he's a Fallout fan.
Yeah.
Like, he took this job because he's a Mass Effect fan. I assure you he adapted this properly. And he is getting network noted here on this one by somebody who doesn't know what he's talking about. Because I could adapt Mass Effect to a TV show without confusing anyone who had never played the games in a week. It wouldn't be a very good script, but like you could. There's very little in Mass Effect that you need to explain to a non-gamer, because it's all discovery and self-explanatory. Like it's all very standard space opera tropes, and the stuff that isn't is so important to the plot that you have to have a scene where they talk about it.
Yeah.
You have to explain what a Spectre is. You have to explain what the Mass Effect is. You have to explain who the Council is. You have to explain what the Citadel is. You have to explain what the Asari are. Like, because you are dealing with characters who are, humanity is relatively new to the galactic, community, and you are kind of constantly learning about all these things. And that's sort of the point of the first game, is like all these different species getting together and forming this team that saves the universe together.
I wonder if it could be too how he shot it. If maybe his angles are... No, I mean...
It's a script. There's no shooting yet.
Oh, right. They haven't shot it yet.
No.
Oh, when is this coming out?
A couple of years.
Oh, okay. I thought this was more.
No, this is the scripts. These are the scripts.
I see.
They submitted the scripts for network notes. There is no footage yet. There's no casting even yet. I don't think.
Wow.
I don't think.
Huh. Interesting. Well, that that throws up even more flags. If their execs decided this on a script.
Right. That's what I mean when I don't understand what this means outside of maybe they thought they were buying the Expanse again, and they got Star Wars.
Something else. Yeah.
And they don't want that for whatever reason, which is weird because it's like, last I checked, Star Wars was still more popular than the Expanse, as good as the Expanse may be.
Yeah.
And even the Expanse again does have weird power stuff in it. I mean, it's not like it stays hard sci-fi the whole time, but maybe they just think the Mass Effect stuff is a little too weird,
a little too out there,
which is incorrect.
Yeah,
I think there's room for that.
Yeah,
you don't have that really. Name me another TV space show that does that.
Yeah,
we've got hard sci. We've got the Expanse. We've got For All Mankind. We've got stuff that explores that more nitty gritty stuff and like worries about the gravity accelerate. And this is like, how do you have artificial gravity in Mass Effect? Well, the Mass Effect fields.
Yeah.
What are the Mass Effect? Oh, dark matter. It's like, you don't need more than that. That's all it needs to be. Just fucking go. Like, I don't need to know how the fusion cores work in Fallout either, because that's not what fusion is. Fusion
and I don't care.
The whole point of fusion is that it doesn't explode.
Right. I don't care.
Blowing up a fusion vehicle wouldn't make an explosion.
Yeah.
But it's that's the joke. That's the theme. It's the atomic thing. It's the atom punk sort of thing.
Yeah.
So like, you just got to go with it. Again, you're about to spend $5 billion on a Lord of the Rings show that, as far as I can tell, nobody really likes much.
Yeah, they don't.
Like,
I tried to watch it. I didn't care.
I got a couple episodes in the second season. I was like, you know what? I don't need to do this anymore.
They lost me.
Even the people I know who actually really did finish it are just like, yeah, it's fine.
That's not good enough for my time anymore.
Not for my time. It also shouldn't be good enough for that.
To greenlight.
So I heard. I don't know if this is true, but there was in conjunction with the announcement that they will finish the series with 5 seasons, because they're only working on season 3 right now. The word is that there was a clause in the contract that they have to pay like a huge financial penalty if they don't finish the license out.
That explains
so
it.
basically, it's better to make it and have a show you can run forever than to have to pay out like to the licensor, which I'm sure Embracer would love.
Yeah.
But they'd rather have a show to show for it, basically, which makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the deal is in that, but again, it's not like Amazon doesn't have money to burn on these kinds of things.
Yep, it's got money to burn. So anyway, there you go. That's the latest update on Amazon's Mass Effect show. Matt doesn't seem to think it'll be coming out for a couple years, so we'll probably discuss this again.
Yeah, you definitely need a year for effects on that, I would think.
Yeah,
I don't know. But again, my main advice to anyone high up at Amazon who's watching this, because I know you all watch us, is leave Jonah Nolan alone.
Yeah, just let him do his thing.
Let the man do his job.
Did he not prove to you already?
Over and over again, Jonah Nolan proves that he is one of the best people working in entertainment right now.
And at this in particular.
And this in particular. Like, this is his expertise. Like, let the man cook.
Let him cook. Yep. All right, let's move on. We're going to talk next about Naughty Dog.
I saw a great little comparison of that slang thing where the difference between cooked and cook.
Oh, really?
And it's bad to be cooked. It's good to be cooking.
Yeah.
What it really matters whether you're in the pot or outside of it. And I'm like, oh, that's a great way to put that, isn't it?
Yeah. All right, up next, we're going to talk about The Last of Us. But not just The Last of Us. We're going to talk about a multiplayer game that was under development at Naughty Dog, as it turns out, for a really, really long time. A former worker at Naughty Dog did an interview this week where he basically just laid bare everything that happened with The Last of Us Online. It was supposed to be a multiplayer standalone game using The Last of Us Part 2 engine or whatever, but it wasn't going to be a part of The Last of Us Part 2. It was going to be its own game. And this wasn't a case where Sony used the IP and then gave it to another developer, like a multiplayer developer, and had them work with Naughty Dog consulting.
That's probably what they should have done.
That's probably what they should have done. Instead, they had Naughty Dog actually developing the game, and I have it on very good word that this was not just like a small splinter team at Naughty Dog. It was Naughty Dog proper.
It sounds more and more like this was, in fact, their primary project.
It was their primary project for like 4 or 5 years. And he said that eventually they just came to him one day and was just like, nope, we're not doing it. And the reason they said they weren't doing it was because they were like, we can't get Intergalactic going. And obviously that's Neil Druckmann's baby, and he was starting to get fed up. He's like, wait a minute, like, what are we doing here? Like, we need to get Intergalactic going. Because I'm sure he was starting to realize, like, wait a minute, like, we're not going to release a PlayStation 5 game at this point. And so I was kind of surprised to learn from this former employee that it wasn't just Sony that pulled the plug. A lot of it was Naughty Dog being like, look, man, like
what are we doing?
What are we doing here? Like,
I mean, I agree.
I agree 1,000,000%. So what you're watching right now is Factions, which was the multiplayer mode for the first game. And people seem to like it. I played it for like 2 days.
It definitely has a very dedicated following.
It really does. I'm surprised that so many people really liked it. But it was not meant to be. And instead, they went and started working on The Last of Us Online. And the employee this week shared that the game was 80% done when they canceled it. So, Matt, knowing that you and I agree that Naughty Dog never should have been working on this game at all, but it was 80% done. Do you think it was a better decision maybe to just finish it off?
No.
No?
Because I think Neil's right. We got to get Intergalactic going.
Yeah.
Like, that last 20% is a pretty big hurdle.
Well, the other part of it, too,
getting it done, polishing it, making it really what it needs to be, like that, it's not simple.
That's not the end of it. That's the thing. Like, once it
support
launches, you have to support it constantly.
And then, like, the end result is still one way or the other. We don't get a Naughty Dog game this generation.
Yeah. Because of this.
And I feel at a certain point, you would have some backlash on that when this came out. Like I would be irritated with it by default.
Meaning, like, fans maybe wouldn't buy it just as a protest?
Because it's just like, oh, this is what I get instead of, like, the next Naughty Dog opus, basically. Like, this is not what people want from me. It would be different if it was another developer, if they'd given it to one of their numerous development teams that does multiplayer stuff and doesn't, I don't know. Maybe that Naughty Dog wouldn't allow that. Maybe
I'm
Naughty Dog won't do it themselves. I don't
that
know.
Neil didn't just kill this before it ever started. It was like, no, what are you talking about? You're going to make my studio make a multiplayer game? Have you lost your freaking mind?
Have you seen our multiplayer games?
Or have you seen our single player games? I'm like shocked.
Again, I don't know where the brain disease that makes executives not think single player games make money came from.
Or not listen to talented people like Neil Druckmann.
Well, they've never done that. But, like, look what they're doing to Jonah Nolan right now.
Yeah, perfect example. Yeah. I mean, generally, creative people are not listened to the way that they should be listened to. Yeah.
I mean, it's different than the time back in the day when, the people who ran the movie studios were generally the people who'd come up through production. And they knew how to make
They understood it.
They knew how to make a movie. They knew what a movie was. They knew what a good movie was going to look like on a page. And you didn't need to explain that to them. And now they're nepotistic hires from people who had marketing degrees and business degrees, and those are not people who can run a creative industry the same way. And sure enough, it isn't, and that's one of the reasons you're stuck with all this like brain dead choices. It's a shame that Naughty Dog had lost so much of its time to this.
Maybe Naughty Dog should have made a multiplayer mode instead of this for The Last of Us Part 2, because this is their co-op. Well, it was like a roguelite survival mode basically that they released for The Last of Us Part 2. It came later. I
think this is more interesting than that, though.
Do you?
Like, yeah, I'd rather play this.
This game was hard.
Very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard.
I was watching through my old B-roll of it, and I was like, damn, I'm getting my ass kicked.
But it is in line with the experience of the single player of the main game. And I think it kind of gives you more of that.
Yeah.
And
it gives you the same vibe.
And it exploits the combat system, which has a lot of depth to it that you don't necessarily get to explore in the
campaign.
Because you're trying to kind of conserve you're trying to conserve resources, and you don't know what's coming next or whatever when you play it the first time. And with this, it kind of frees you up to just sort of go wild and experiment, and that's really cool.
Some of my favorite videos to watch on YouTube are after 1,000 hours of The Last of Us Part 2. And it's just some dude or girl who just wrecks it. Like, just uses every element of the combat system and shows you what the game can really do. It's inspiring. It almost made me go back sometimes and start playing again to be like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. I'm going to try to do that myself. I don't, of course, but I think about it for a minute. But honestly, the reason I said maybe they should have made a multiplayer mode instead of this roguelite mode, maybe it would have kept them from having them make The Last of Us
Maybe,
Online.
but again, I'm pretty sure that's where that game came from, was they were trying to make a multiplayer mode for this, and it got too big, spiraled out of control, and it became its own project.
Maybe.
I think that's what happened.
It's possible.
Or maybe Sony saw it and was like, oh, this should be its own game because we're about to do this stupid game as a service thing, and
Gauntlet,
and so that's how that happened, and
that will cause us to close like 6 studios.
And at a certain point, maybe Neil didn't have the full clout corporate wise to call that off until he had been at the head of making that show that blew. I mean, after the first season of The Last of Us, I would imagine Neil Druckmann is one of the people that could not be ignored at Sony anymore. If he ever was to any degree in terms of like the high level corporate stuff that were maybe making decisions like this. So maybe he finally got the clout to kill it and get Intergalactic off the ground. And it was going to be simpler to just like call it a day on it than to try to balance finishing it with trying to get his project finished. Because I get the feeling that Neil would also like to sort of move on from all of this. In terms of like, you know...
He hinted at The Last of Us Part 3 this week.
Yeah. I think he wants to get Part 3 made and then maybe do something else. Because that will probably be his magnum opus, I would think.
I would guess, too. I'm just glad they're going to make Part 3.
I mean, I think it was always inevitable.
At one point I thought that, then at another point I thought it wasn't, and now I think it is again.
They are the two fastest selling games in Sony's history. There was going to be a Last of Us Part 3, whether Neil made it or not.
Oh, all right. They would have given it to somebody else.
Yeah, so and in the same way that Back to the Future 2 and 3 were made by Zemeckis and Gale, I think you just decide to do it yourself so that someone else doesn't, like, bastardize what you've made.
Yeah.
And again... it's very weird to me when people say that The Last of Us 2 doesn't end with any kind of sequel hook, because like I can think of 14 different ways to do a sequel to that game at the last shot of that game.
Yeah,
like, it's very, very easy to come up with that. And they're going to probably want maybe more content for the show if the show continues past season 3, which it looks like maybe it won't.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
I think the bloom is sort of off that rose a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm not even really excited for season 3.
I didn't finish season 2. So.
I did, but I'm not that excited for season 3, sadly, which really sucks because I really thought I would be really excited for that show all the way to the end.
I mean, I really like season 1. Season 2's adaptational choices alienated me completely. I'm not a purist about. I understand why you make it. There were a lot of adaptational changes in season 1. I thought most of them were very smart. I think that adaptational changes in season 2 are idiotic.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with pretty much any of them.
Yeah.
Structurally, organizationally, character-wise, narratively, I think none of it worked for me. And eventually I was like, you know what? I don't care about this version of this anymore. Yeah. And that was it.
Yep.
And, don't care.
All right.
Too bad.
Well, it's time to move on to the last
Bring on Intergalactic.
Yeah. Seriously. I can't wait for that one. And I've been hearing some things that, like, people are gonna their doors are gonna be blown off when they learn about Intergalactic. So be excited, people.
Planetary,
Intergalactic, planetary. Yep. All right, our last topic. They're gonna be able to squeeze
their previous project was Sabotage.
Right. That's pretty funny. Okay, our last topic, and we have to do this briefly because we're running out of time, is a follow-up on last week's topic when we were talking about the remake of Ocarina of Time. And I floated that maybe Monolith Soft was working on the remake of Ocarina of Time. And lo and behold, this week, Monolith goes out and does a couple interviews where they basically say, we're making the next Zelda. Now, they didn't say it was an Ocarina of Time remake or anything like that. But
it wasn't very clear whether they meant this or the next Zelda.
Right, the next open world one or whatever. But they obviously did work on Breath of the Wild. They worked a ton on Tears of the Kingdom.
They were very involved in. I mean, they're Nintendo's open world specialists. Xenoblade is obvious proof of that.
And so they are working on a Zelda.
My guess would be that it's this.
Yeah.
Because I cannot imagine EAD giving up Zelda, the
next real
mainline
Zelda
installment.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be the Ocarina of Time remake.
Also, I think whatever the next Zelda is so far away.
Really?
Like 4 or 5 years.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so Tears of the Kingdom's been on the market for what, like 2.5 years?
2.5, I think.
Yeah.
And remember,
it takes 7 years between Zelda games. Basically.
And remember, they said it wasn't going to be like those, so they got to reinvent the wheel again.
Right.
And that's going to take some time.
I hope it's more simple. It's not as hard to create.
I just would like a dungeon again. Please.
Seriously, man. And look, here's the thing. It sounds almost like Monolith is just like a Zelda developer now. Like, I don't know if we're going to get anything else from them for a while. And it's probably the right call. As much as I like Xenoblade, like, would I rather have another Zelda game? I probably would.
Yeah, it depends what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think it's just this. I mean,
yeah.
Ocarina, sure. I like an Ocarina remake. But again, the timing of this means they were probably already working on this when they got Xenoblade 3 out.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like Monolith Soft is big enough to work on multiple things.
It does seem like it's pretty large. Yeah,
because they got Xenoblade 3 and Chronicles X Definitive Edition out like pretty much alongside Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
So it really feels like Monolith is built to work on their own stuff and be a support studio simultaneously.
Yeah, I do wonder though if if the Ocarina of Time remake is not an open world game, if Monolith is the right studio to be using for that. Because if you're just going to remake Ocarina of Time, like, you could just use a good poorhouse for that.
Like I said last week, I think if you're going to do some kind of remake and you put Monolith on it, then I think you do revamp Hyrule Field. I think Monolith Soft, if everyone could revamp Ocarina into being, like I said, no load screens. Basically, the whole thing is contiguous, and you do not ever go through a doorway or go through a black screen or leave. And try to imagine what you could do with the forest labyrinth with that.
Yeah.
Like, if there's no load screens, if there's no walking into black
That's
portals
true.
anymore, imagine how weird you could make that.
That's true.
So
I didn't think about that.
There's a lot of interesting tricks you could pull and different ways to present things that we find very familiar, but in a new way that would make Ocarina feel fresh.
Regardless, I'm excited to see what Monolith will do.
Yeah, they're the right team for that.
Yeah. I mean,
especially because, like, if you just put them on that, okay, you have the template of one of the greatest games ever made.
Yeah.
To do as you see fit, to bring it up to modern standards and remake the thing. And you are probably, because of the age, you're probably dealing with people who grew up with this game. So it's not like they're not going to understand. I'm sure there's people at Monolith Soft that got into game development because of Ocarina of Time.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I think you're going to have a team that, A, has the skill, and B, has the reverence for the material, that I think you might end up with something very special.
Yeah. I wish we had known about this before the year started so we could have drafted it on our fantasy teams.
Yeah, that would have been good to have. Although we don't usually do remakes.
Yeah, we don't. We usually just gentlemanly don't go there. But anyway, anytime we talk about something for a long time on GameFace and we get an update on it, we want to make sure we follow up with you guys the following week. So that's what we're doing here. So there you go. It looks like Monolith Soft is working on the Ocarina of Time remake. And with that, it's time for just one thing. That's right. It's time for Name That Game Tune, brought to you by Soundwizardry.com. It's a fun little game we play here on GameFace where I play 5 audio samples from a video game, and you try to guess the name of the game before Matt here. Matt's won 3 times. You guys have actually won more than him at this point, but the way we're doing things this year is whoever wins the most by the end of the year will be crowned the champion of Name That Game Tune for 2026. All the old rules are gone. The only thing you have to remember is that the chat is still in slow mode, and you can't spam the chat with game titles. Otherwise, you can play every week, you can win every week, and I hope you do, because we need somebody to emerge here to become the champion of Name That Game Tune. Now, the reason this is happening is because our sponsor of this is freaking awesome, Soundwizardry.com. They are the absolute wizards of audio. They work on game audio, TV shows, podcasts, anything that has sound in it. They can make it better. If you're working on a game right now, I guarantee you your sound team is not as good as Soundwizardry. Contact them at soundwizardry.com. All right, Matt, let me get your headphones turned up here so you can hear the samples. Let me bring up the interface. Everybody on YouTube, thank you very much for watching the show and joining. You guys were actually very vocal this week. You guys really got engaged. So thank you, everybody on YouTube. Thank you for the super chats. But if you want to play Name That Game Tune, you got to jump over to twitch.tv/SIFTD right now. Also, I see some people getting Twitch Prime in there. Talika1981, thank you. Ian Esquire, thank you. You guys are smart. You know there's certain times. Vincent says still no leaderboard. No, I still did not create the leaderboard. All right. Let me get the samples pulled up here. Are you ready to play Name That Game Tune, Matt?
Sure.
Are you guys ready to play Name That Game Tune? Here's the first sample in 3, 2, 1. Oh, wait, I gotta scroll down here. Okay. Maybe next week I'll have the leaderboard. Contra, no. Ghosts and Goblins, no. E.T., no. Super Metroid, no. Axiom Verge, no. Earthbound, no. Another Metroid. But no. Duke Nukem 2, nope. Something is it too loud? Because usually you guys complain that it's not loud enough, our samples.
It wasn't loud to me.
Okay. Gauntlet, no. Yar's Revenge, no. Body Harvest, no. Any other guesses on that first one? Kid Icarus, no. So everyone else says it wasn't too loud. Maybe you have your speakers turned up or your headphones turned up too loud. Any last guesses on that first one? Going once. Going twice. Okay, here's the second sample in 3, 2, 1. Any guesses from that one?
I don't know. It was only in my right earphone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Metroid 2? No. No Metroids. I think everyone's guessed all the Metroids at this point. It's not a Metroid game. Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger. You trying to guess 2 with 1 there?
Blaster Master.
No. Star Fox, no. Alice Kid in Miracle World, no. Clearly it's Prime 4. Wizards and Warriors, no.
I thought of that. Wizards and Warriors.
Classic. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Well, you always, anytime you do that, you need to tell us exactly which one it is. But it's not a I'll just tell you right now, it's not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Jackal, no. Gradius, no. Hide Lied, nope. Iron Sword, not that either. Friday the 13th on NES, nope.
Oof. Bad game.
I would argue we're still waiting for a good Friday the 13th game.
Yeah.
Mario and Sonic 2020, nope. Tower of Druaga, no. Some crazy guesses this week.
Alone,
Home Alone, no.
Life Force.
No. Final Fantasy 6, no. Mega Man X, no.
Yeah.
Any last guesses on that one? Going once. Going twice. All right. Here's the third sample in 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
Someone already guessed Yara's Revenge, but that's not it.
What is that?
Nightmare on Elm Street, no. Sinistar, no.
No.
Q*bert, no.
It's Midway.
Day of the Tentacle, no. F-Zero SNES, no.
Because that's the same vocoder thing as Pinbot.
Berserk, no.
We've already done
Berserk's
Berserk.
a good guess.
We've already done Berserk.
Yeah.
Back in the day. I guess it could be Frenzy.
No.
It's a
Seventh
sequel to
guess,
Berserk?
no. Ghostbusters NES, no. Did you guess something else, Matt?
No.
Okay. Spawn, no. Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja, no.
What is the game with the... Oh, that's Berserk. Never mind.
I can't help you. I don't even want to look at you and make eye
I'm
contact.
trying to now I'm trying to help other people.
All right. Blaster, no. Dick Tracy, no.
Bullying? Dick Tracy is bullying? Come on, Twitch.
Any last guesses on that third one before we go to the fourth one? I really thought people would get this on the first one. I'm surprised.
I mean, I recognize that. I know the tech they're using, but I don't remember the game.
Okay, going once, going twice.
I would also have guessed Berserk if I didn't know we'd already done Berserk.
Yeah. All right, here's the fourth one in 3. Oh, Rampage. Nope, that's not it either. Here's the fourth one in Disc of Tron. No. Any last guesses? Disc of Tron was a good guess, but that's not it. Okay, here's the fourth one. Nobody guessed anything. In 3, 2, 1.
Hey, insert toy.
Tempest.
No. Paperboy, no. We have a winner.
Wizard of War.
That's it.
That's
Emperor
it.
Gestall 84. It is Wizard of War. Congratulations.
That was the game that was in the comic shop I went to growing up.
Wizard of War is one of my favorite arcade games of all time.
That is the only place I ever saw that game, was at that comic shop.
I love Wizard of War. I could not believe I had not used it yet in this game. That game is creepy and moody AF. Like, the atmosphere in that game is unlike anything, and it's such a simple game. It's just like a maze shooter where you go around the maze and shoot these monsters, but it had like voice work in it. Like, you could walk away, and the attract on it is just the evil wizard talking. I love Wizard of War. It's also, I would argue, one of the best Atari 2600 games. The Atari 2600 port of that is insane. So anyway, finally I got to use
I was right. It's Midway.
It is, yeah.
It's the
When
same
you said that, I knew. I was like, yeah, it's a
the
Midway
same tech.
game.
It's the same tech as
The voice tech.
Pinbot. It's the same tech as Pinbot.
Yep. Oh, I didn't play the 5th one, actually, and I want to because I love this game, and I want to play all the samples from it. Here's the last one. Well, congratulations. Awesome job. Emperor Gestal 84. Congratulations. You will be added to the leaderboard for Name That Game Tune for 2026. You are on the board and in the gate. All right. That's going to do it for GameFace episode 475 right here on Sifted at sifted.net. Again, a reminder that we're supported pretty much 100% at patreon.com/sifted. That's SIFTD. For those of you who are listening to the audio version of this on all the podcast services, and we are on all of them, if you can't help us with money at Patreon and you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, it'd be great if you could help us out with Twitch Prime. You can give us a free $2.50 every month, and you do have to re-up it every month, and that is a pain, we get it, but it makes a big difference for us, so we really appreciate it. Also, if you do that, you get Pactor Factor a week early with our patrons at twitch.tv/siftedgames. So it's not just doing it to help us and make sure the show keeps happening. You also get something in return. We'd really appreciate that. And if you have no money, you're not an Amazon Prime subscriber, totally get it. You can still do other stuff to help us. Just like the show. Click like right now. Share the show on social media. This is my favorite gaming podcast. All that stuff makes a difference. Share it with your brother or your sister or your kids or whatever. All that stuff matters. Every new viewer is a potential new paying patron. So we'd appreciate it if you could help us out in any way. That would be awesome. Let's see. Next week, Matt, we got Pokemon Champions. We got Samson. I think there's one other project for next week too. Yeah, I think it'll be a little more game-centric next week. But the funny thing is, Matt, I think a lot of people prefer when we have these topic-heavy episodes instead of a lot of reviews. So that could happen next week as well. It'll probably be a hybrid, lots of topics plus a couple big games. But regardless, it will be a good time. And we will be here at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday at twitch.tv/siftedgames. So thanks to everybody on Twitch, everybody on YouTube for the super chats, for the feedback. You guys make the show better every week. Everybody have a great week filled with great games. GameFace is up and out.